Yeah, you were snapping your neck.
Hey, how's it going?
We're back.
We're finally back.
After a couple month hiatus, hiding in the
Oh,
caves.
and we are back. Awesome.
Hiding in the caveries.
Hey there, Facebook land. Yeah, we're back. Back in our old groove.
Yeah.
And we had some time off, and we both have some blame to take in that. I've been moving to a new house. You've got sports going on with the kids.
Yeah,
a lot of stuff going on. But we're back, and we're back to our regular schedule.
Hopefully.
Should be.
As long as you don't screw it up.
As long as harvest goes fine, and it will.
Yeah. Turns out you're the problem.
Yeah.
Not really. That's not true at all.
But no, we're back. So, yeah, we got a bunch of, some could say our long hiatus has been due to Mountain Dew Hangover.
I tell you what.
Because that was our last episode.
I've told so many people about that, many people have asked me about it, and they don't understand how terrible we felt after that. They're like, well, yeah. It was like, did you drink the whole bottle? No, we didn't drink the whole bottle. Then what's the big deal?
16 flavors.
And then they're like, well, you only poured like 1 or 2 ounces in a cup. I understand. It just was a lot. I don't know how to explain it.
If it was all the same flavor, obviously I can drink 16 ounces of Mountain Dew.
Right. And that's where the confusion comes in. We had so many different...
We threw our body into the wrong... It didn't know what way to go. It didn't know if we were going melon direction.
Yeah.
Or spicy, fiery, hot direction. It had no clue.
Maybe a zero direction?
No, who knows?
Who knows? Nobody knows. And that was the problem. And after we were done with drinking that in the middle of a show, by the end, like once we finished that, we're sitting here like bloated and angry, looking at each other like this was a horrible decision.
But I'll tell you what, we're going to get back into the game of reviewing stuff because I got some fickle pickles.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I forgot them tonight. I should have brought them. But I got fickle pickles. We're going to do some potted meats.
Yeah, we are going to do potted meats, which I've done on TikTok.
Yeah.
Our Snarf Talk TikTok, if you check that out.
Oh, we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, okay.
Yes,
sir. I'm sorry,
we got Mr. Field here with us. Missed you too. Hey.
Mm-hmm. Hey.
We got Dirk back with us. Hey-yo, Dirk.
Oh, Dirk Steele, man. I haven't heard from you in a long time. Missed you, buddy.
So, no, we're back, and we're just we got to get back in the groove, you know?
It is a groove. You got to be in, like, the pocket.
Yeah.
You know, like in the pocket of
inside
doing this
the
job.
Pocket of a clown. Ooh-ah, ooh-ah, ooh-ah.
I've never been in the pocket of a clown.
You don't know that song?
No, never heard it.
It's one of the greatest songs of all time.
No, it's not. If it was, I would have heard it. Because I'm a musical savant.
It's a Dwight Yoakam song, and it's super famous and amazing.
It's not famous. That doesn't sound famous.
Dirk.
Inside the pocket of a clown? Why would that be famous?
It just is. It just is, Jerry.
Wow. The best nickname I've ever had, I feel like, or like the most original nickname I've ever had about me being shorter in stature, is a fellow employee of the Army Corps of Engineers, and he works at a different lock, but he's like 6'4", 6'5", something like that. Real tall guy.
Did you call him Hightower?
No, he called me Pocket Mouse.
You should have called him Hightower.
Well, maybe I will now.
Oh, Dirk said it's famous.
Well, okay. Well, then now I believe you because Dirk said it.
Anyway, Pocket Clown?
No, Pocket Mouse.
Pocket Mouse, okay.
And every time we'd be like doing something, he'd grab his shirt and he'd say, hey, hop in here. Let's go.
That's obnoxious.
I think it's funny.
It's funny, but it's
obnoxious. I thought the Pocket Mouse thing, I was like, that's pretty good. I haven't never heard that before. Like, you hear a lot of short jokes. Pocket Mouse was a really good one.
Listen to the lyrics of Pocket of a Clown by Dwight Yoakam.
Okay, read them to me.
Inside the pocket of a clown is a sad place to hang around. Just watching smiles turn into frowns inside the pocket of a clown. Inside the heartache of a fool, you'll learn things they don't teach in school, and lessons there can be real cruel inside the heartache of a fool.
Wow. This is deep.
Hollow lies make a thin disguise as little drops of truth fall from your eyes.
Crying.
Inside a memory from the past lives every love that didn't last, and sweet dreams can start to fade real fast inside a memory from the past. Dwight Yoakam's deep.
Wow, that is deep.
Yeah.
It's almost meta.
It's a real sad place to hang around inside the pocket. Inside the pocket of a clown.
I've never heard it, and I feel like I've lost out on something.
Yeah.
Like I need to, as soon as we leave here, I'm going to listen to the song.
Absolutely.
But,
so I have a story about Dwight Yoakam, and I'm going to admit fully.
Okay.
It's 100% possible that 90% of the story just
is made up.
lived inside my imagination.
Okay.
I think that it's true.
Of Dwight Yoakam?
I need
Where does
some
this
people
come
to
from?
back me up that would have been there. Several people we know would have been there. Dwight Yoakam played at the Grundy County Speedway when I was in high school. I'm not sure if you were in high school yet. I don't know.
I mean, it
because
would
you
have
were
been
a
close.
freshman when I was a senior, right? Or you were a sophomore? Yeah, you were a freshman.
Yeah, I was a
senior.
freshman. Yeah.
So I don't know if it was like my sophomore, junior. I don't remember what it was.
Okay.
But it was a country music festival in Grundy County. I think they only had it for a couple years.
I don't remember it.
And the big headliner was Dwight Yoakam, who of course would have been a star in 1999 or
My
2000.
mom loved Dwight Yoakam.
Everybody does. Suspicious Minds, which
Yeah,
is it's not an
Elvis.
original, but I don't even think that's an Elvis original, to be honest.
I don't care. It's Elvis's song.
Guitars, Cadillacs, hillbilly music.
Yeah.
Thing called Love.
That's not
This
it.
thing. I know it's
That's
a
not
cover
his either.
too, but he sings it.
I understand. I know Dwight Yoakam songs. Are we telling everybody who
You do?
Dwight Yoakam?
You do? You don't know one of his top 5 hits?
I don't know Pocket of a Clown because that is not a top 5 hit of Dwight Yoakam.
Wrong.
Look it up.
Top
Top 5 hits of Dwight Yoakam.
Top 5.
No way. Because I
Dwight
know I would have heard
Yoakam
it.
hits.
Can we play it? Can we play a snippet?
I don't think we. Well, yeah, on your phone.
Can we play a little snippet
Yeah.
of the song?
Yeah. I mean, we'll get banned from.
Not if you play under a certain amount of seconds.
That's not even true. That's not true. You know, that's a myth.
I thought that was. No, I didn't know that was a myth.
If I could write YouTube instead of YouTuber,
I just have never heard of this. I don't understand where it comes from. Is anybody here commenting on this song? Too Tall. Dwight Yoakam is still a star, Dirk. I completely agree with you. Man, I don't know it. No, I don't know this song. It doesn't ring a bell. I did not know this one.
okay, it's not
That's
on his
crazy.
top 10 hits even. So I was wrong.
Right. I didn't figure it would be because I know a lot of Dwight Yoakam stuff.
Let's
bruh.
talk about his top 10 hits. Secondhand Heart.
That man wore the tightest jeans I've ever seen.
I
in
don't
the
know
90s.
Secondhand Heart though. 1,000 miles from. It's 1,000 miles from nowhere.
Yeah.
That's a great song.
Oh man, is it good?
That's number 9.
And he always had the guitar out like this, like out in front of him,
Oh yeah,
playing
yeah.
it like this.
You're the One. I don't remember. I mean, now I know if I heard it.
It feels like he had a lot of covers.
He did. Turn it on. Turn it up. Turn me loose.
Billy Joe.
No. From a memories drive me crazy. You know that song? Turn it on. Turn me loose.
I think I do.
It's a good one. Anyway, 6.
I
Ain't
don't-
That Lonely Yet. 5. Fast as You.
Oh yeah.
4. Little
Fast.
Sister. Little Sister, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
3 is I Sang Dixie. 2 is Streets of Bakersfield.
Of course.
Number 1 is Guitars,
Cadillacs,
Cadillacs, Hillbilly
Hillbilly
Music. I loved Suspicious Mind, but it might
I
not
do
get any
too.
love because it's a cover.
But it's so good. He did it so well.
Turk said totally worth it if there is a ban. Yeah, we'll get banned from YouTube, but who cares?
Yeah, I don't care.
Listen, Dwight Yoakam, Grundy County Country
Okay.
Music Festival. He was the headline star. We're all super excited. He comes out, tight jeans, the big
Oh, yeah.
acoustic guitar, that super
Curled up hat.
super curled up hat,
Before Toby Keith did that.
blue jean jacket, blue jeans.
Of course,
on.
Canadian tuxedo.
Comes out on the stool, sits on a stool in the center of the stage with his guitar.
Okay.
Mic in front of him. Everybody's, I think he sang like maybe half of one song and so stinking drunk because he can remember the words and he fell off the stool and then he was gone. That was it.
No way.
Possibly no way. This is what I remember in my head. I don't know if it's true or not.
You don't remember? You don't know if that's true or not?
I mean, I know that it is a story that I remember. That doesn't mean that it actually happened exactly that way.
I get it.
We're talking about 20.
Was your mom there or
No. We're talking about 22 years ago.
that's not that long ago?
I mean, I don't
Well, I
know
mean,
what
it
to
is,
tell
I
you.
guess, but-
That's the story as I remember it. I'm just
Okay.
prefacing it
Do
with
you
it.
remember anybody with you?
Nick.
We're going to have to ask Nick.
We can ask him.
We're going to have to find out if Nick knows.
I mean, I can call him right now live on the air, but he's not going to listen like that.
He's not going to like that. We'll find out later
Yeah.
when we'll report back.
We'll
but,
report back.
so he was the only one of your friends with you at the show?
No, I'm sure he was not. He's the only person I remember being with me because we were always together wherever we were at.
Yeah.
So
Because I was always there with him,
probably
wherever that was.
filming.
Yeah, he's not going to remember.
He's not going to remember.
No.
I'm sure there's a news article out there. Might be. Oh, Leslie.
Maybe.
She wouldn't have been there.
That's a jam.
I don't think she would have been there.
I don't know.
Jerry, that goat cutout behind you is marvelous. Go grab it. In our new studio. Oh, take off those headphones.
Forgot those
that
were
was
on.
live on air. We're in the middle of maybe setting up a new studio, and we're gonna arrange it completely different. This I got from my sister Becky. Had it made for me for Christmas, and it is a steel cutout Snarf Talk goat emblem. Awesome.
It's incredible. Yeah, I remember we have an episode where it was like you showed us on.
Yeah, I don't know, a long time ago.
Yeah,
We've had it for a couple years.
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago.
But anyway, maybe, I don't know, maybe David Seaton would remember that Dwight Yoakam concert. Probably not. Get that back up there straight. Perfect. Anyway, let's move on. Do we have any, or do you have any other trite comments to be made about anything?
Trite comments?
Yeah.
About what?
If you can tell, my eye is completely red.
Oh, yeah,
I
you're-
promise you I'm not gooped up on the gop tonight.
You're all gooped up on the gap.
I'm not gooped up on the gop tonight.
You're all gooped up on the gap.
I am
You need to be gooped up on the gap because of your eyeball.
gooped up on ragweed pollen.
Yeah,
Man,
ragweed's
what a
bad.
miserable ragweed season. Anyway, I think we have a couple of...
Listen, we need to touch on a subject that happened today.
Is it a Snarf announcement?
No,
Oh, okay.
it's not a Snarf announcement.
Okay. Can we do that first?
Which one?
The Snarf.
Oh, what is the Snarf announcement?
Hit the button.
Snarf announcements.
Ooh, we picked the right one. A couple quick Snarf announcements to be made. We still have the coloring contest going on.
Yeah,
You have 1 week to get your entries in. That is the absolute end.
it has to be the end.
How quickly you got your entries in will be figured in our final decision score.
Correct.
But we will be announcing winners to the Snarf Talk Coloring Contest.
Contest,
I
yeah,
wish it
it's-
was a concert.
We should have a concert.
Contest will be announced next Thursday or whatever the next time we record. Hopefully next Thursday. Could be Friday. Could be whatever.
Correct.
But that's when it'll be announced. That means you can get it to us all the way until next Wednesday, the 14th. And if you're listening to us this on the podcast, this will be coming out on the 12th.
No, it'd be the Monday's the 12th.
Yeah, so you got till the 14th or 15th,
I mean, yeah, the morning of the 15th.
morning of the 15th to get in, and we'll announce it. Number two, as
Snarf announcements.
number two Snarf announcement is check out and subscribe to our Instagram and our TikTok. We are at Snarf Talk on Instagram and at Snarf Talk.
It's just Snarf Talk. Just type in Snarf Talk.
Snarf Talk
It's
on
going to come up.
TikTok. We're regularly putting out content.
Yeah. and
Jerry
it's-
more so than me, but I've been trying to step up a little
My
bit.
gosh. And if I have to brag, it's solid content.
You know what? I have been, and I feel like I've been stepping up. And I just was going through my movie collection because we're moving, and I have Step Up. So I feel like there's something we could do with that.
We could do something with Step Up.
We could do something with
Yeah.
Step Up.
I feel like that's going to happen. I hope.
Okay, that's it for.
Snarf announcements.
Adam's still working on a masterpiece. Get that in. You could win.
Yeah.
There's only like a couple adult entries.
Stop hanging out with Booge. Color your thing, your art piece. So a little somber piece of news we have to talk about. Her Majesty the Queen passed away today, September 8th,
Cheerio.
2022.
Is that the right word to be doing? Probably not.
I have no idea.
I was just about like a toast, like Cheerio, chip, chip, Cheerio.
Yeah, that's
To the
not
sky.
perfect. To the sky.
To this guy.
I don't know.
May the wind always be at your back. That's Irish.
She was in charge of them too, right?
Northern Ireland. They're part of the kingdom,
But they were, yeah.
right?
I honestly have no idea.
Anyway, Queen Elizabeth. Yeah, I did hear
Queen
that
Elizabeth
news.
II
96 years
died.
old. I think natural causes, I'm sure.
Yep.
She reigned for 70 years.
She was on her 71st year, so she started when she was 25 years old.
She has been reigning over England more than most people in England have been alive.
But she's the longest reigning monarch in the history of England.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
I still to this day don't really understand how their monarchy functions.
I have no idea.
Because that family owns all the land.
Technically.
England and Canada too, I believe, right?
But I think they lost a lot of it. I think they've lost a lot of that ground.
But I think they still own it technically.
I don't know.
It's not governed by them.
Yeah, they
except
don't
for
govern.
Well, ceremonially they do.
Yeah,
But I don't think it's not governed by them. And obviously Canada is independent now and has their own government and everything. But I think technically the Windsor family owns all of that land. It's part of their estate. They are the monarchs, I believe.
I don't know. I really don't know how it works. It's so confusing to me. I've never really looked into it.
The largest
It's very
landowner in the
interesting.
world is the Catholic Church.
Oh,
The Roman Catholic Church, 70 million hectares.
what's the difference between a hectare and an acre?
I think a hectare is like 2 acres,
It is.
or vice versa. I don't remember.
I don't know either. David's going to tell us. David, you got to tell us. What's a hectare?
Hector damn near killed her. It's 2.47 acres. So I was
2.47 acres and a hectare.
The largest landowner in China is a dairy farmer. 9 million hectares. Gina Reinhardt, 12 million hectares. She owns most of Australia.
Yeah, I don't know about this. I don't know if you're right. I think that was the case at one point, but they've lost so much ground over the years because their reign of England and the European countries has just been like dwindled down to not much. Besides, like, it's more of like a respect thing, I think, than actually physically reigning over anything. Like
I think they
reign
have the patent for croquet,
the
game, not crochet.
oh, not crochet, croquet. Yeah,
The house
That's a
of-
hell of a game.
Oh, I love it.
I tell you what, you ever played?
Oh yeah, it's not as good as bocce.
Bocce's way better.
Bocce's
Oh
the
my
best.
gosh. It's so better. I don't want those little metal hoops.
I think
Get the metal
Seaton
hoops
Top-
out of
where's
it.
Seaton Top?
Oh,
He-
Seaton Top's a huge bocce guy.
He'd be a bocce guy.
He is a bocce guy.
We need a pressed field though. Like
Who has a pressed field? Does anybody?
I mean, I could make. We
Can we do it on the runway?
probably. I roll it.
Yeah.
Got to cut it real fine though. Here's the thing: in Baltimore,
You need to get a real
when
mower.
one of my friends lived in Baltimore, we'd visit there. Bocce ball is so huge in Baltimore that randomly on every block they'll have like a blank
bocce square?
bocce square
Bocce pitch?
in each. Yes, a bocce pitch in each block.
Is it called a pitch like soccer? Or football in England is called a pitch?
Okay, Leslie says, so now what happens? I'm assuming she means after the Queen dies. So it's King. It'll
it's
be
King Charles.
King Charles.
now.
King Charles the whatever.
They're assuming he's going to pick the name Charles. That's his first name, but he could pick any of his names, which is like Charles.
He's got like 10 names.
George Abbott, Murphy the Ninth.
Eddie Murphy Costello.
Yeah, Jerry Seinfeld. He could pick any of those names and go by them, but they're all assuming he's going to follow in his mother's footsteps, saying like she was Queen Elizabeth, which was her first name, they assume he's going to pick King Charles.
Okay, Leslie provided the answer.
But he is absolutely the king now.
In other words, the queen is flush with cash with her 6.6 billion acres. Elizabeth II is far and away the world's largest landowner, with the closest runner-up, King Abdullah, holding control
Oblongata.
over a mere 547 million, or about 12% of lands owned by Her Majesty the Queen. Charles is king officially. Coronation will be in about a year.
But they have to have
He's king consort.
He is right now. And they have to have the burial within 9 days. So once somebody dies.
So she doesn't rise from the grave as a vampire.
Correct.
That's-
Well, you got to put a trap on them.
Yeah.
That's how you bury vampires. You put like a
scythe
across
You
the
saw
neck.
the same article I
I
saw
did.
about the mummy they dug up.
Yeah. That's no joke. what I
The
said.
House of Windsor is the reigning royal house of the United Kingdom and other Commonwealth realms. In 1901, a line of the House of Saxe-Coburg.
Whoa, watch it. That got a little racy.
Nobody cares.
Whoa. Sexuals.
The current head of the house is monarch of 15 sovereign states. These are the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Jamaica, the Bahamas, Grenada. Is it Grenada? Let's
Tomato,
call the
tomato.
whole thing off.
Yeah.
Papua New Guinea,
Papua New Guinea.
Solomon Islands, Tuvalu, St. Lucia, been there,
Yeah.
St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, Belize, Antigua, and Barbuda.
I don't even know what you're listing anymore.
And
I've
St.
lost
Kitts
interest
and
in
Nevis.
all of this.
All well as the separate monarchies, there are also 3 crown dependencies, 14 British overseas territories, and 2 associated states of New Zealand, the Cook Islands, and something else. That's a lot, though. That's kind of crazy, don't you think?
What?
I think that's crazy.
It is crazy. They own a lot of things.
It's Charles III.
Correct.
On the Wikipedia, reign, 1 day.
Oh, I get it. Like his reign.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is crazy that she was there for over 70 years. I mean, if you look back in her history, I mean, it's been literally like she was in World War II driving trucks around.
So why was her husband, she was the one that was related?
Yeah, she was in direct line. Her dad.
Okay. It was her father.
Her dad
George
was
the Sixth.
Yeah, was the king. That's what that movie The King's Speech is about her dad with the stutter.
Colin Quinn. No. Colin was his name, the actor.
Farrell.
Colin Moffrey.
Colin
Kaepernick.
Kaepernick.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I
know who you're talking about, and I'm trying to think of I'm legitimately trying to think of his name. I can't think of it. But either way, the King's Speech was about her dad. Her uncle.
It's a good movie too, by the way.
Her uncle was supposed
Colin Firth.
Colin Firth. That's the guy.
Yes.
Her uncle was supposed to be like the next in line, but he what's it called? Abducted or abdicated the throne because he wanted to marry a U.S. divorcee.
Ooh.
And so he left. He just ended up leaving. And then her dad got the throne because of that. And then the only person left under her dad, like she was like, I don't know if she was the only child, but she was the next in line. And he died relatively young at like 50, 55 from lung cancer. They removed a lung, thought the other one was fine. He still had cancer in the other lung, died, gave it to her, 25 years old.
Wow.
Crazy.
Dude said, did you guys not watch The Crown? And I did not.
No, but that is like based off of her life.
I don't watch
but it's
like that.
Dramatized, obviously. But they take like the headlines of her life and put it into a show. I don't watch it either. I thought it was fake for a long time. I literally just found out from Nate today at work that that's how The Crown was made because he's apparently very into it.
Oh. Tony said Daemon Targaryen for king. Let me tell you what.
That guy.
Even though Matt Smith's my boy, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna
that
talk
man.
about House of Dragons or whatever it's called later.
Yep.
I was not in team. Is it Damien or Damon?
I think it's Damien.
I think they say Daemon Targaryen on the
Oh, they
show.
might. I don't know. Whatever. Doesn't matter. We can say what we want.
We can.
We're in charge.
I was not on his side. I was for, what's her name, Rhaenyra?
Yeah.
Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
Until the third episode, that whiny little bitch.
Come on. I don't know. We'll talk about it later. I might agree. I might
Adam
not.
said Nate's from Luxembourg, so he would know.
Well, he just got his citizenship there.
Why?
I have no idea. He did. He
Just for fun?
literally flew there.
He flew there and got his citizenship?
Stayed for like 4 days, got his citizenship, or like filed for it, and came back. He is now a citizen of
He just
Luxembourg
did it like to say he could do it?
because he has family from there. The
Oh.
only reason you can do that is if you can prove your lineage back to Luxembourg. And his mom did that. So he decided, him and his brother and his cousin.
Oh, okay. So you make
Decided-
it seem this is a family thing. He's got family there. His family did it together.
No, there's nobody that lives there that they know.
I understand that, but
They just decided, like, I'm from Germany and Poland. I could prove I'm from Germany and Poland. I'm not going to fly to Germany and Poland
They're
just
not
to
gonna-
get my
you
citizenship.
don't want to be there. They're burning wood now.
They really are, yeah. It's really bad.
Dude was telling me all about that.
Yeah, they're cut off, man.
Anyway,
I just heard a news thing today, like, Russia's done. They're getting demolished in this war.
that's not true, I don't think. Is it?
It is true.
I haven't been following it, which is crazy because I followed it like crazy at the beginning.
Oh
but
no, there was like a guy, what was his name? I don't remember. I don't pay attention to a lot of things, but it felt like he was important in the European Union, and he came out and said like
The EU?
the EU.
The EU.
And they had a big, like, massive press holding, and he was like, Russia's not holding on long. He's like, their strategy has failed. He's like, they keep redoing, like, retrying to do different things with their army and coming in and take over Ukraine. He said what they said was going to be like a 3-day conquer of the country has now lasted 6 months, and they have exhausted all of their resources, and it's not going to happen. Like, they are going to lose this.
I find that unlikely.
Why would it take this long?
I don't know.
Ukraine's tiny. I mean, it's not
It's
very
not
big.
that tiny.
It's not that big
It's the
compared to
size
Russia.
of like the Midwest, right?
Yeah, roughly. And then Russia's bigger than our country, but also occupied Russia is not really that big. Not
How
as big.
big is the Ukraine compared to the United States? 6% of the size of the U.S.
That is not a lot.
Okay, compared to Texas, how about that?
It's
Like
like,
Texas is pretty big.
yeah, but it's like,
Slightly smaller than Texas, so it's like the size of Texas. So comparatively,
country.
if Russia was the United States, Ukraine
It's
would
bigger-
be Texas.
it's bigger than the United States. The
Not
square
much, though.
land of Russia.
If you take out like the upper part,
yeah, like the Siberia portion.
yeah.
Isn't it
Plus,
Siberia?
you got to get those maps. Have you seen the maps where you
Where it
drag them so
scales
they're
them.
not on the globe?
It scales them two
Yeah,
sides.
and you take Canada down to so you take something that's like Brazil, where it's by the equator, and you move it up to over Canada, and it's like the size of
It's
Canada.
huge. If you take the U.S. and bring it down to the South America, it almost fits inside of it. It's
Inside of
roughly
Brazil,
the same
yeah.
size. And then if you take the U.S. or anything over to Africa,
Oh,
it
it's-
is all dwarfed.
Yeah, Africa's massive.
The size of Africa is unbelievable to me.
But I mean, it's a continent. It's not as big as Asia as a continent, but
Yeah, that's true, but it's just wild to
Yeah.
realize that.
well, you look at the size of Alaska, which is huge.
Huge compared to
But
the
if you
U.S.
drag it down, I mean, it's bigger than Texas, obviously. But if you
Oh,
drag it down,
it covers up like from Texas to Lake Michigan.
yeah, it's big.
It's huge.
That all happened.
So
The
geography
Queen Elizabeth.
died.
Let's pour one out for her. No,
Well,
or just
cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to you, Queen
Cheers.
Elizabeth
Cheers to Queen Elizabeth,
II, Her Majesty.
and cheers to King Charles
King Charles.
II.
Hopefully, you're.
May he eat Camilla Parker the Bulls.
I don't even know what that means.
That's his wife's name.
I know, but I don't understand. Yep. May he, her. I tell you what.
Is she the one with one leg?
She's the.
Let me look that up. Does Camilla Parker Bowles
Maybe.
have one leg?
Why would she have one leg?
She broke her leg in 2010.
A lot of people broke legs, man.
I swear to God, there was somebody that had one leg.
A lot of
Prince
people.
Charles,
A lot of people.
one leg girlfriend.
Listen, my sister-in-law has 1.5. Knee
I'm
down.
not saying there's a thing wrong with
Knee
it.
down prosthetic.
Hey, she's the queen. We should.
She is the queen. You're right.
She's not our queen, though.
No, but I feel like
You know what?
pay respects.
Why?
Man. Be respectful to what they do. It has nothing to do with us. I don't need to like listen to them.
But
by
why
any
do I
means.
need to be respectful of them?
Just
Heinz
be respectful
beans
of what
suck.
they do. Gosh, dang it! You got a point there. If there's any point to be made,
Beans on toast is not breakfast.
it's good.
Sure.
Have you had it? Did
Yeah.
you try it?
Yeah.
Beans on toast is pretty good.
Oh, Paul McCartney's ex-wife. It is Paul McCartney's ex-wife that has one leg. Nolan.
That's right.
How do you just
Darn
know?
it! Didn't she fall off a horse?
Because Paul McCartney might as
no,
well.
she had cancer.
Oh my God.
Ooh, that was that went a little darker than I meant.
Like, yeah, I don't even. She was a horrible accident. Heather Mills, though, that was her name. I remember that.
For what?
Paul McCartney's ex-wife.
Yeah, that's right. And she did have one leg.
What if they could vote? If
Darn
they
it.
could vote on the King of England, do you think Paul McCartney would win,
He damn sure
or
should.
like David Beckham?
No, it would be Paul. I think he's the most
Are there any
famous.
other alive Beatles still? Is George alive?
Ringo's still alive.
Ringo's alive?
No, George died in like 2001. It's only Paul and George left. Or Paul and Ringo, I'm sorry.
Alive other than Paul.
He literally just told you.
I don't think you're right though.
It's Ringo and Paul.
Yeah, it
Those
is.
are the only
Yeah.
two people alive. It was my mom's favorite band, and I've followed their lives.
So they could be co-kings.
I bought my mom a signed Abbey Road record when I was deployed on Amazon, when Amazon first became a thing. It cost me a lot of money. And I sent it to her for her birthday. It's still hanging in my dad's house. It's a great present.
Yeah, and we looked it up. Right, it was worth like a ton of money now.
Yeah.
Good for you.
I'm honestly super proud that I thought of that.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what?
Do you have it framed?
It is, yeah. It came framed.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It came framed in a...
Signed by all the Beatles,
yeah, all of them.
all 5 of them.
Yeah, Paul, George, John. Paul, George, Ringo, John.
Wasn't there a 5th member in and out of there?
There was
occasionally?
there was a different bassist, or not bassist, different drummer when it was called Paul Bass, Paul Best,
Paul Best.
Paul Best, and then he
He was the original drummer from 1960 to 1962.
listen to this guy. What he did, he left he was kicked out of the Beatles. Ringo came in. He left England, came to the United States, and created an album called The Best of the Beatles, and started selling that album when the Beatles became huge because they didn't copyright anything before that.
So he's still rich as hell.
He was so rich from doing
Probably
that.
richer than them.
No, I guarantee you that's not the case, but it couldn't be.
Didn't Michael Jackson buy the rights to all the Beatles songs?
Yeah, he owned all of it.
Yeah. Does he
Paul
still?
Mc-
Now,
No,
or does
Paul-
Apple own it? Apple owns it, right?
Apple bought it, and then Paul McCartney has been working to buy it back from Apple, I believe.
There's no way he could afford that.
He started to.
I mean, Wings? Shut up.
What's wrong with Wings?
I mean,
I don't.
Sony officially agreed to buy out the Jackson estate's full 50% of the Sony ATV for $750 million. So Michael Jackson only owned 50%, making Sony the sole owner of the Lennon-McCartney catalog, as well as Sony ATV's 750,000
That's really
songs.
sad. That's sad to me.
Oh, Paul McCartney finally regains Beatle rights after near 50-year-long battle. And there was court cases, right? I don't think he had to buy it all. I think he like sued and said, like, I created it. I want it back.
Yeah, I knew he started getting a lot back. There was I remember him in an interview talking
If everybody in the world pledged $1, we could give that billionaire the rights to $1 trillion worth of music.
Right. You're right.
Yeah.
Feel like it's a cause we should stand for.
Imagine all the money flowing down on you. They say you are a dreamer. Michael Jackson doesn't own anything anymore.
No, he's dead.
So they say. Have you ever seen that music video?
I feel like he's dead.
Could have came back.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Do you know why Princess Diana?
You know, we've been talking about Michael Jackson this whole time, and you've had ample opportunity to use that soundboard.
I did.
Yeah.
Real quick, do you know? Hang on, let me think of her name.
Princess Diana?
Yeah, you know why she didn't ever drive?
Oh, is this a joke?
It's gonna be, and I don't think I should tell it.
I don't know.
Because she's dead.
Oh, okay. I don't like those kinds of jokes.
I think it's.
It's like dead. You probably like dead baby jokes.
No, I would never.
If you're listening on the podcast. Anyway, should we move on and do some news? Oh no, I got a little bit of I've taken on a new pursuit in my life, Jerry. Other than all my businesses and my TikTok fame.
Okay.
Our
All right,
TikTok fame.
Yeah. Well.
Our.
Oh no, just yours. You've created it. I understand.
Other than that, I've taken on a new role in life. New business opportunity, maybe.
Let me guess. Wait. Let me think of it. A seamstress.
No. Bat.
Whoa.
Bat removal.
That was my next
I'm
guess.
becoming a bat removal expert.
I don't think it's bat removal. I think it's like bat housing.
Bat relocation.
Yeah, bat relocation. But how do you relocate a bat from your house if you just put a house up outside?
Not a bat. No, I'm doing more than that. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
I did put up bat houses, bat caves, if you will.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I
bat
got a
caves.
whole school of bats that are living in the new house that I moved into.
Mm-hmm.
Some may say there's thousands of them.
Some may say we can't count.
Some might say
The
there's
number.
10.
Some may say we're drowning in guano.
There is so many bats and so much guano. You can't walk outside onto the deck because there's guano everywhere.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and it's bad for your health.
It
got
is very bad.
fungal
for you.
diseases and stuff. So I got to get these bats. I got to get rid of them. But I don't want to kill them if I don't have to because they eat all. One brown
They're
bat
so
will
great.
eat 600 mosquitoes a night. Did you know that?
I did find that out because I had made the mistake of trying to shoot one out of the sky.
There's no way you're hitting a bat out of the sky.
I did it.
With a shotgun, maybe.
I did it with a shotgun. Yes.
Oh, okay.
12 gauge. I
That's
did
illegal,
it
by the way.
in the backyard.
You shouldn't be saying that.
I didn't do this in the backyard. It was unsuccessful, and it was amazing that that would ever be a thing that I ever thought of.
Gotcha.
But, it was crazy. Never did it again. Never thought of it again.
Joel is saying Jerry's about to one-up you by announcing that he helps manufacture bat birth control.
I didn't want to bring that up.
So anyway, I'm starting this bat removal. So first, step one is I hung bat houses in the trees adjacent to where they're entering and exiting my soffits.
So you believe that, like, that would be...
I'm trying to coax them out into
Right.
a better...
Like, they would enjoy living there better than...
It's got a bat
this.
on it, painted on it.
So they would enjoy that other than this, like, 1,000 square foot, like, attic that
Yeah.
they're living in now.
For sure. I think so.
It's
I
a
think they would
huge
enjoy it.
community. Are they community
Oh, for
animals?
sure. Community animals. Yeah, they like pile on top of each other.
Yeah. So I don't understand why they would like a smaller place.
Somebody's here. Somebody pulled in the driveway. This could be problematic.
They're not in here, so keep telling me about bats.
Okay, so I hung up those. Next step, you got to get the bats out. How do you do that?
You go up there and do this. Get out!
You put bat
It's during the day, though, and it makes them wake up because they're night animals.
They're
so during the
in
day.
the attic, though. That's the problem.
I know, but so climb up there.
Bat house is way more progressive than bat cave. Batman appreciates your sensitivity. And no, you put what's called bat valves, one-way bat valves.
Are you kidding me?
No, so that's just basically a tube,
It is, but it's a one-way tube.
and they fly out. There's
And they
actually
can't come
no,
back in.
there's actually no flopper in there at all. They just fly out, and they can't fly back in because it sticks out into the open air. They need to land on something and then crawl,
in.
and they can't do that with the tube apparently. So they fly out.
So if you got these?
I just put them up today. So you
Okay.
got to. Hey, what is
Oh
up?
my gosh,
We got a guest here.
Mr. David Seaton. We can't. This is wild that you came this exact night.
I don't want to be on anything.
Because you can't be on physical camera. Perfect. You can't be on a physical camera because it's not functional at the moment.
Perfect.
No, but you got to give him that microphone at the very least.
Unbelievable. Yeah, we're going to turn that microphone on.
We got a new guest here.
I think it's on.
Jerry's got to figure out how to make it work.
Yeah, I got to remember how to do any of this.
Speak.
Just tap on it. Do something. No, that's not functional. Oh, goodness.
Don't let me distract you.
No.
We're talking about bats at the moment and how to rehouse bats.
Yeah, when I walked in, I wanted to say, "Where's Rachel?"
You
Talk
should.
about back-
Oh, you should have.
Oh, it's not plugged in, Jerry.
That could be a huge problem.
I put you at number 4.
I'm just
Oh.
here to fact check. That's it.
Okay. 4. Talk. Just hit on 4. Still not doing anything.
That's fine.
Well, it's super hard to adjust on the fly, Dave.
It's my fault. I'm
3.
taking all responsibility.
Oh,
Yeah, he's there.
all right.
Oh, and you're there. Speak. Tell us your name. What's your name? Yeah.
David Seaton, Top Brush Chairman. Damn glad to meet you.
Damn glad to meet you too, sir. Look at him over there.
It's been
Keep this going.
several hundred episodes. Oh, did you just turn that camera?
It has been several hundred.
hundred, thousands of hours.
It really
And
has.
I don't think I've missed an hour, which is
Unbelievable.
sad.
It-
It's sad.
It's not sad. I'm glad that you enjoy the podcast. We all want people
I
to
do.
enjoy the podcast, and you listen to it regularly, and yet you refuse to come on.
Yeah, I don't know why.
chance we get, we invite you to come on.
Correct.
It is a phenomenal time. Your brother-in-law, Tim McDonald, has been on
Mm-hmm.
the episode. Gets off of the show, and he's like, "Man, what a great time that was! You should go on there."
And then he never listens again.
Well, listening and participating are two different things.
Correct. There you go. Much better.
But
No camera.
what a fun night. What an enjoyable journey we're on,
Proceed.
David.
I'm just here to fact check.
Man. Okay, he's a fact checker. So, do you know anything about
Did you
bats?
say fat checker?
Yeah, that and
Correct.
facts. What do you know about bats?
Only that The Dark Knight is perhaps my favorite movie ever.
It's very true. It is one of the best movies.
That's
ever
all I
made.
know. That's it. So go back to your bat catching.
So you were
dilemma.
into the guano portion of it, right?
Hold on, I'm just trying to do a couple things here.
We can't put up another camera.
Why?
No cameras. I'm just here to
He
fact
doesn't
check.
want a camera.
Okay, fine.
We'll just allow him to be.
This is like the one time I have took the camera off. This
I
is
know.
the problem. I took
It's
the
the-
camera out of here to put it on a laser level.
It's the only time
to
we haven't
hang
had.
pictures and shit.
It's literally the only episode we've ever had without a third camera set up ready to go.
Somehow I knew that, and that's why I'm here.
Unbelievable.
Oh, he even brought a bar with him. There you go. What do you bring? Ooh. 2 women. New Glarus. I love New
Oh,
Glarus.
it looked like a New Glarus.
Spent some time in Wisconsin over the weekend.
Oh, where'd you go?
Door County.
I haven't been there since I was a
Oh,
kid.
my gosh, Door County is
We'd
so
never
beautiful.
been. It was a nice trip.
Cherries. Isn't that the cherry place?
I don't know.
Then they
This
have
is
they
a,
grow
uh,
cherries there.
Is that what they do?
No Coast.
I think so.
Oh, I got to turn it right. No Coast Pale Ale. Thank you.
Door County, yeah.
I don't-
Where is that
I
in
can't
proximity
open it.
to?
How do I open this?
I don't know. Do you have a bottle opener?
No.
We have
not-
a Snarf Talk bottle opener at all times on this table, except for right now. I believe
Door
it's,
County is northeast of Green Bay.
Oh, it's up
It's a
there.
it's a peninsula.
Yeah. Yeah, I was there a long time ago when I was a kid. We took a trip. We went up there, and then we went around the peninsula because my dad was stationed when he was in the Air Force up in the Upper Peninsula. Oh, there you go. So we went up and around on that trip, and that was an awesome trip. I liked all of it, even when I was a kid, because we came back down through like Mackinac Island and then down the Michigan coast. It's a good time. But
we
I'm
went
pretty
up-
sure cherries is the thing up there. Cherry juice, all kinds of bullshit.
Could be.
How do you miss
It was-
the cherries?
It was Labor Day weekend. It was very crowded.
I'm sure.
Lots of people, and we have 3 children, 6 and under.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to pay attention to
Wow.
anything other than children.
Very reproductive.
Jesus.
Wow. Fertile.
Yeah. Oh, man, Marley.
soil.
Hey, Marley, if you're listening, which you are, because you just commented cherries are in Michigan, bring that laser level over here. I'm just kidding. In the garage, though.
I'm just kidding, but this is exactly where you need to walk and get it.
They have really good cherry beer, says Les. There you go.
I believe you.
Door County. Yeah, that's kind of a maybe like a.
Apparently, Dirk says prolific.
There you go.
There you go.
They're prolific in Wisconsin.
One time
the whole
I
cherry
drove
beer.
through Cranberry Country on the way to Lake.
Is that Minnesota?
No, it's in Wisconsin.
Oh,
On the way to Lake in the Clouds, Minnesota, though,
I knew that.
for a snowmobiling trip, and listened to the Cranberries the entire time we were driving through cranberry bogs areas.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you did the whole way.
In your head. That one.
And their bombs, and their guns, and their swords, and their blades, and their toes.
On the way home from Door County, we drove by the Renaissance Fair.
Oh,
It was
we
the,
just
Man.
the last day, I
You
believe,
just
was
missed
Labor
it.
Day was
Labor
last
Day
day.
weekend. Yeah,
it
Monday.
was incredibly busy.
It
I'm
has
sure it was.
been. I heard the weekend after we went. The weekend we went was pretty busy.
So they literally raised the prices of everything for Labor Day weekend because they posted it on Facebook, and they said, "Sorry, but because of the crowds that we know we're gonna have, we're raising the prices on tickets. We're raising the prices for everything in the show, and they started charging more for parking because they had such a huge crowd."
They were certainly charging more for the bar crawl.
Yep,
That was expensive. $65 a pop.
that turned out
What
to
did
be.
we pay?
I don't remember, but I don't feel like it was that much.
I don't feel like.
But
it
we
was
did
either.
go on the bar crawl. I will say it wasn't as good as the time when we
No.
all went.
The time
The entire
that we went
experience or
and
the bar crawl?
The bar
crawl.
The people weren't as good.
So the 2 times we had went.
Maybe we went later in the day. I think when we went with David, we went later in the day, like maybe 3 o'clock or something like
Could
that.
have. Yeah. The crew just wasn't the same.
They felt like they were just going through the motions.
Yeah, I felt
bit.
that as well. Like they were going through the motions. They weren't into it.
And we went roughly the same time in their time frame, correct?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
late in the season.
I think we
Correct.
went maybe
We
Labor
always
Day
we
weekend.
went on Labor Day weekend when you went there. We were Labor Day weekend when we went with,
Because
with
that would
Seaton
be
Top. And
completely understandable if they're a little burned out
Yeah.
by the very last weekend.
I would get that, but this one we were 3 weeks ahead of Labor Day weekend.
Maybe they repower for the end. Maybe they get more into it at the end. Maybe we hit it like in the.
Could be.
that could be a thing. I don't know.
Maybe
Or
they
maybe
just
they
recognize
switch.
you and they're sick of seeing you at the same bar. crawl.
Honestly, maybe it's every other weekend they switch crews and like
I
different.
also
people
felt like it was
do-
shorter.
It was way shorter.
It was only like an hour, and
As soon as we ended, I remember looking at you and I was like,
that's it.
is this the end? Like, are we done with this then? Or, and then, of course, I go up there, ring it.
Oh, yeah, he rung it.
So at
The only one who made it.
the end of the bar crawl, you have to throw a ring onto a chicken's head, strapped to a woman, around her pelvis. There's a chicken.
Draw a picture.
There's a chicken head sticking out of a woman's pelvis, and you have to throw a ring around her chicken head.
Yes.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Well, I did it first try.
You did. He did.
I mean, it was not a problem whatsoever. I had the greatest toss, probably of all mankind. It was a little bit left, but I had enough spin to turn it to the right.
Luckily, the chicken head was leaning a little left.
Boy, did it ring around that chicken. Got a free drink out of it.
Yep. You're the only one that made it.
Not a single person after that could do it, and I laughed at all of them. I looked at them in the eye, David. I looked at all of those people in the eye, and I said, "You are not as good as me. I know I'm short, but I am better than you."
Dirk says, "I feel like I was there."
It was a crazy time.
I'll say maybe part of the problem was we were also with a I didn't feel like it was a great group of people that were with us. There were some real obnoxious people.
No offense if you were part of the group.
Wait,
Well, they're not.
wait. Are you talking about
not with us.
like Chris and Dude are great
No.
people? I feel like Chris and Dude are great.
No.
Like Dude comes on the podcast a lot. I have no problem with him.
Okay, this is misconstrued.
I have no idea why you said
Other
that.
people that were with us. There was a bachelorette party. That's already trouble in the first place.
Yeah, that was a problem.
There was some other people that were really annoying. Remember the lady that kept like trying to get him to do another shot at the chicken game?
I know, and she came on to me.
It's like, come on, man.
I was like, listen,
The chicken?
I'm taking.
Oh,
Quit it.
not the chicken.
Oh, no, the chicken.
Oh, the chicken.
Yeah. The chicken and the bachelorette. So, dooms for that marriage.
So anyway, point is, we had a great time, but I know the last two weekends, it's been like at capacity. The weekend after we went, they couldn't get any more people in the parking lot. They shut it down.
We drove by
Honestly, I think
Monday
it's wonderful.
afternoon. There was like police all over the place. Out by the interstate, there was police everywhere controlling traffic.
It's probably because I've been preaching about this place for the last
No, it's
6
because of
years.
our Danny Boy interview
Oh yeah, we had a live interview with Danny Boy Pipes,
and the owner.
and I smoked that Danny Boy pipe last night.
You did. You
I
did.
sat on my deck.
I smoked that Danny Boy pipe so much that night that for the next week, my tongue was burnt to a crisp. I couldn't feel my tongue. It hurt really bad. I didn't smoke correctly.
See, I kept waiting for a closure podcast when you guys got home that night.
I have so much video. We have so much video. And I need to put it together into
We
a
could
video.
have. We got home fairly early. I feel like we could have done a podcast, but
I saw
Don't think
a
I was in
notification
any
came up
shape.
on Facebook that you were posting a video. And I'm like, oh, they're doing a podcast after they got home.
I don't-
That would have
after
been.
the bar crawl, after all of this. And I was going to tune in. And then it was just,
Turns out if we were responsible, that would be a really good idea.
I don't think
while
we
it's fresh in your head. And
we weren't in the right.
No, I'm saying if we
Oh, you
could be,
weren't? That's why I was looking forward to it, is you weren't going to be in the right headspace.
Right.
if we could be responsible enough to come home and be able to set all of this up and do it, I think that would be a great idea. But I'm never in that shape. It's because I have a problem, David. Thank you for bringing that up.
We didn't get to sword fight again. That's the should have done it in the beginning.
I know we should have. I turned you down.
Yeah. Speaking of that, anyway,
Of fighting?
no.
Sword fighting?
Renaissance Fair.
Oh.
Done. We're done. We're going back to the bats.
Wow. Okay.
All right. Step 1, bat houses. Hung them up. Step 2, one-way bat valves.
Yeah.
Put them up.
Yep, we got that.
Step 3, close off all the other openings other than the bat valves.
In your soffits.
So 1 week, These things are going to be out. They're evicted. They're out of there. That's my new
I
business.
hope so.
Bat exclusion.
So you're going to do this for people.
I think so.
Okay. Is it a big problem?
It's a big problem for me.
Well, I know for you. I'm saying, like, is it a big problem in the area?
I don't know.
For having attics full of bats? Because I don't know anybody that has attics full of bats besides you. Like, you're the first person that ever came to me and said, dude, I got a bat problem.
I don't know. You ever had any bat issues?
0.
No?
But I wouldn't know.
They're
Never
at
been in my attic.
They're in my well house at my old house and in the barn, all over the place.
How did you figure it out?
When they were flying in and out of my house.
It's a pretty good
Like-
indicator. That's a classic indicator of a bat problem.
In the living area?
No. Like you sit on the deck, that's where they're coming in and out. Right there, you can sit there. If you're sitting there,
Oh, you
watch
were
'em,
right by
you
their
hear them
entrance
crawling
point.
around in the soffits, and then they start flying out
Yeah.
right by your head.
So you were
Step
right
number
by
2.
the entry point and exit point of the bats.
The guano. Remember I talked about the guano?
I know.
It's all
Well,
over
Ace
the place.
Ventura talked about the guano.
Yeah.
You did not want that.
Dirk said it's not a problem until it is. It's a problem.
Turns out it's a problem.
Anyway, that's it. That's all we got on the bat stuff.
I didn't have anything on the bat stuff.
What else do we got?
The convenience tour
Oh yeah, Clerks 3.
is coming out like this month, right?
Yeah, like next week.
Yeah, next week. Kevin Smith, Jay and Silent Bob. The Clerks 3 movie is coming out next week, being premiered, and they're going on a convenience tour. Obviously, like a gas station-esque name, right, David?
I've never seen any of the movies.
You've
No, I
never
know, but
seen Clerks?
No.
Wow.
It's part of the reason why I've never wanted to be a guest, because a lot of your references are out of my ballpark.
Oh man. Well, we got tickets to the live show with Kevin Smith, and we got VIP passes to hang out with Kevin Smith after the screening.
Signed script.
Signed scripts.
Yeah.
The whole 9 yards. Of course, that isn't until November, unfortunately.
Turns out it's, like him and I have been around each other a lot. He knows me.
Yeah, you were just hanging out with him for approximately 1 minute until the security guard
listen.
said, move along.
He knows my children. We were together. He asked me about the podcast. We talked about
That's
that.
true. He's probably listening, right?
Big fan of me.
And then we proceeded to not record one for 2 months.
Listen, what I'm telling you, he's a big fan of me. I know that hurts you. I'm sorry. It's something I have with him. Him and I understand.
That's fine. I've had 3 Twitter interactions with him. One time he mentioned me on his podcast.
3 Twitter interactions.
One time he mentioned me on the podcast.
He really did.
He mentioned me on his podcast, not by name, but he said, some asshole on Twitter said this. I was that asshole.
I've probably thought of you in the same way and referred to you in the same way.
So
Checks out for me.
while Chris is the
I am
asshole,
a fact checker, and that checks out for me.
while Chris is the asshole in Kevin Smith's life, gave a hug to.
Do you remember what the post was about?
I've also called you a desperate podcaster, so that also fact checks for me.
Kevin Smith gave me a hug about it and told people to write down our podcast, and made sure that the Snarf Talk logo was front and center in the picture. That's why he positioned me specifically in the picture to get the Snarf Talk logo. He's like, you got to get it out, man. Branding is the key. He's like, brand yourself. Get out there. Because I wanted to be like in his breast. While I wanted to be hugging his breasts,
Bosom?
and his bosom and his chest and under his armpits and like coddling him. He wouldn't allow me to do that. He
Shocking.
said, you need to brand yourself. And I was like, you're right.
He
This
meant heat up a piece of iron and
Yeah,
put
he
it
meant-
on your flesh.
He meant, I want you to go home and hurt yourself.
Yes, yes.
No. He said,
Like Yellowstone.
I love podcast, man. And I love that you're podcasting. He's like, how long you been doing it? And I told him, he's like, man, that's awesome. He's like, get yourself out there. Put your shirt forward, get yourself out there, get your kids by me, and we'll take a picture. It's like, yes, sir, Mr. Smith. Yes, sir, Mr. Smith. I agree with you. That's exactly what happened. And then we left the room.
And he heard a whisper behind as he was walking out, throw that fucking podcast name away.
No. What I heard was, give me that stuff.
Oh, no.
In the back of my head. But I was also like shaking and walking down the aisle, and Grady's like, why are you acting this way? I was like, Grady, I don't know how to understand this either. This was the greatest moment of my life. And I was like, you know how you like a lot of things? He's like, yeah. Like, I like baseball players. I was like, you ever met one of them? He's like, no.
And you never will, son.
That's what it was like. If I met your favorite baseball player, like now we're going to get a picture printed out in front of us. It's incredible. Yeah. And it was incredible. And we're going to have that moment together while we get a signed script. And I'm going to take that picture there. That freaking picture that I got with him. I'm going to take it there and have him sign it because he's not going to tell me no when I'm standing in front of him.
I'm going to have him sign my Smodcast jersey.
And I'm going to have him sign a deed to a house that we're going to live in. I miss his musk. Musk is down. I miss his scent in sound.
Anyway,
David, I miss everything about him.
Do you remember
David?
Yes, sir.
Miss him.
Oh, I haven't been listening at all. I checked out when you guys start talking about Clerks.
Oh,
mostly.
right.
So,
Well,
anyway,
he's a cool guy.
Okay, well, we're done with all of that anyway. We were going to get into what we've been watching in any case. But since David's here, we can start with what he's been watching.
No, we have a lot more news.
We do? We got news?
C2E2.
We did go to C2E2, yeah.
That's all we got. That's it.
There's not much to talk about. It was a pretty low-key show.
It was. We went there. We took a lot of video. I'm hoping to get some video out of C2E2.
We got press passes again, so that was
yeah.
cool.
We took a lot of video on 2 different cameras. I need to get the other camera from Chris. I'm going to compile the video and get it out on YouTube so people can watch it. We had some interviews with people. We talked to a lot of creators that we enjoy. It was a great time.
Pound that beer, Chris. Did I drink that too fast? I did drink that pretty fast.
You have no comments on C2E2 then? Or? I thought it was a great time.
No, we had a good time. I met Claudia Gray. We both did.
Yeah.
Who's one of my favorite Star Wars authors. She signed a couple books for me.
She did.
Did we meet any creators, really? Not really.
Well, I mean, a lot of artists.
We did.
Went down
we
Artist
went to
Alley.
karaoke.
Man.
Unfortunately,
was that a time?
We didn't get a chance to sing because there was too many people.
I signed up Snarf Talk to sing in the karaoke.
What were we going to sing, Jerry?
What was it? We were. Yes,
absolutely.
That
right.
was what it was.
What it was.
That's what it was. We were going to sing I Don't Know Much. I went up there. I signed us up for it. The guy told me, he's like, listen, we're only going until 9:15. He's like, I've got like 30 people in front of you. I don't think you'll make it. I said, put our name down on the list. We waited as long as we could. Chris took a video of me on our Snarf Talk TikTok.
wait,
crying.
Who was going to sing with you?
We were going to sing together.
Me and Chris were going to sing together.
Well, I've never heard you and Chris sing that song.
No, nobody has.
No,
Nobody's ever
just-
heard you and Chris actually sing that
I
song.
was just going to do an impression. That's all.
Nobody has
that'd be
ever
weird.
heard Chris and I sing.
You
I
doing
don't
an
know-
impression would be weird and unenjoyable.
I know.
The version I heard
Was legit.
was very, very legit.
I know.
Okay, I just got feedback. So can we take a quick break? This harkens back to the Dwight Yoakam talk. It's a callback.
No.
Were you listening for that part?
I was.
I mentioned you. I was wondering if you were at that show.
I was not. I was a child.
Do you
So was
remember
I.
what I'm
I don't
talking about?
remember this.
We're the same age.
Correct.
Do you remember what I'm talking about at all?
The Dwight Yoakam played in the pavilion at the Grundy County 4-H Fairground or the Grundy County Fairgrounds?
Or was it
Not
at
a
the
pavilion.
Speedway?
No, it was at the Speedway. It was in the middle of the Speedway.
It was in the grandstands?
Yeah, in the grandstands. It was a country music festival.
It was a country music festival at which Dwight Yoakam was the only recognized name.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And he was a star.
But it was an all-day thing.
But he was definitely on the backside of his
no
peak.
doubt.
He's never been on the backside of his peak.
No. He
I
peaked
feel like he's been peaking forever.
He peaked sometime in the mid-90s.
mid-90s. This was
he was
probably
still a star.
He's been a star.
It would be like
his acting career brought him in the forefront more so, I think, than his singing later in the years.
Since his music career dwindled, and then he got more into acting.
Yeah. And he's so good.
He actually has kind of had a renaissance as a cult hero.
For sure.
I completely agree.
As a country music fan-ish.
Savant.
No, not a savant. But I know most popular country music songs. And he probably was popular before I ever liked country.
Oh, yeah.
But I know who he is more now than I did in the late 90s.
I completely agree.
So I think he's kind of had a renaissance as almost an inside joke.
I knew him in the 90s because of my mom.
Almost a cult
My mom
hero.
loved Dwight Yoakam, and she always listened to Dwight Yoakam. But at the time,
Dwight Yoakam.
Dwight Yoakam. But at the time, listening to him, it was kind of like, okay, that's a guy.
It was old school country.
We know him, like he's nothing. Like I wasn't listening to him above any of the other people that I liked.
I think he made a
like
resurgence.
Tim McGraw, and
He made a resurgence during the quote-unquote 90s country when that became a thing. And it wasn't just pop country. And as pop country evolved, 90s country became kind of a throwback.
For sure.
It's like 80s
But
pop
I think it
or
was
whatever.
before
I
that.
agree.
I think
I agree. He was always relevant, but I think he and Joe Diffie and some of these guys,
Joe Diffie came in.
they kind of were. They became throwbacks because their music was popular, but they were such a stereotype of the time
And
of the popular music.
And looking back on a
It's
stereotype, those are the ones you pick out.
It's the same way when our kids are all grown, they're going to look back at Luke Bryan and Kenny Chesney and whoever else, Jason Aldean. You're going to be like, oh, that's 2000s country. That's how Dwight Yoakam was. He's kind of an emblem of 90s country.
I agree. The only thing that brought him above and beyond that is his acting.
Yeah.
So people
And I couldn't even tell you.
I feel
Oh
like
my
he was
gosh,
a bit of a jukebox hero too. Like
he's been in so many
he's a
shows.
lot of bar jukeboxes. Played a lot of Dwight Yoakam. I feel like.
And
I
you've
agree.
said it. He's literally done a lot of covers,
He's so
which
many
makes him
covers.
even more.
That's
like
what
that.
blew me away. Is like I didn't realize that until we were talking about it tonight, and he started naming names of songs.
Wasn't
I was
he
like,
in Yellowstone?
Is he a cover artist?
Isn't he in Yellowstone at some
I
point?
think he is. Yeah, he is in Yellowstone, and he's been in a lot of Western shows.
All right. He was in
Tons.
Cry Macho recently. That's the new Clint Eastwood. It's not very good. He was in so many shows. Under the Dome, Wilfred.
Wilfred, like
Yeah.
the dog one.
Yeah, Crank, Wedding Crashers, The Three Burials of whatever Estrada,
He's
Panic
all over.
Room, King of the Hill, Sling Blade.
Yeah,
So
he was
several of those
a
are
big
like-
character in Sling Blade.
But they're like comical cameos.
A lot of cameos for sure.
He's
Not in
like
Sling Blade though. He
the
was a
guy
main.
singing in the hotel bar.
4 Christmases. I skipped over a ton of them just because I wasn't sure if
He's like a bad guy in a main TV show.
Goliath. He's in Goliath.
I don't know.
He's like a main in that show with Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah, that's an AMC show.
Logan Lucky. He's in Boomtown.
Logan Lucky was a good one, and that's the one I think I'm thinking of. He was like the sheriff in Logan Lucky.
Warden. He was a warden.
Warden, yeah, I remember him in that show, and he was great.
Anyway, I brought up, since you don't remember it, I'm guessing I was 16 when I was there, because I'm sure we drove there. So I had to be at
Well,
least
you had
16,
to,
and that would have been 2000.
Because you said your mom wasn't there.
No. But anyway, so I told you who would I been there with? Nick. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember, but I would have been with him, I'm sure.
Sure.
He must be listening because he said, spot on. My recollection of Dwight Yoakam drunk, falling off the stool, and getting carried off stage at the Grundy County Country Music Festival.
That is two reputable people that no one could ever overturn. If you've heard that story
22 years, so half that, even at 11 years ago, it could have been in my imagination, though. That's the only problem.
I didn't say I verified its truth. I just said I've heard that story sometime in the last 10 to 15 years.
It's true. That's what he said.
So he graced the stage of Grundy County.
Didn't know that.
In a failed country music festival.
Okay. Do you want to talk any more about C2E2 or about the She-Hulk controversy?
Tony said his role in Four Christmases is top tier.
We're still on.
Dirk said he's still a star. I'll fight you, Seaton Top.
He's absolutely still a star. He really is. He's kept his star prowess because of his acting career. That's only because of his acting career, not because of singing.
All right, move on. Next news.
Like I said, do you want to talk any more about C2E2 or do you want to talk about the She-Hulk controversy or get into what we're watching?
Where are we at on time?
We're only at 1 hour and 11 minutes.
She-Hulk.
Ooh.
That's the wrong button to pick.
It wasn't. It was the right one.
The sad trombone.
Oh, I don't have that on here.
You do? Yes, you do.
Well, I know. I gotta switch the sound.
You should really reconfigure this. Rejigger the jigger.
It's so much harder than you think. You don't even know, man.
We'll wait, Jerry. Don't worry. We'll wait for you to comically affect this.
Nope.
All right. I will have to say before we start talking about this, I have not seen one episode of this show.
So,
have you, David? Have you seen one episode of this show?
I'll give you 2 guesses.
The answer is no.
No.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, the answer is no.
Do you even have Disney Plus?
I think it's on my kids' TV.
Yeah.
I've never navigated it or anything.
Okay. So
I don't have Netflix anymore because when
why?
First Midwest Bank switched to Old National, I got a new credit card.
Oh.
And it was on my old card, and I never.
So you never updated.
Updated it, and I wasn't currently watching or binging a show.
Wait, you have a debit card? Because for a long time you did not.
Well, they tend to get broken or
lost, and you just don't renew them.
Yeah, and then I just live without. But I wasn't watching some on Netflix, so I let it expire. I'm still working on 1 year of Hulu for 99 cents a month.
Oh,
that I bought on Black Friday last year.
Oh, that's a good deal.
Today is Disney Plus Day, though, right? It's 99 cents.
Today?
For, I don't know if it's for the month or whatever. So there's a deal today. A Disney Plus Day today.
Today.
That should probably be news.
September 8th.
They launched a bunch of shit today. Plus, Andor is coming.
But that's not until the end of the month.
We got to talk about Thor.
We didn't talk about Thor yet?
Nope.
Love and Thunder?
We haven't. Did we even talk about...
No, we didn't.
No, we have not. We need to talk about that. Okay. Let's talk about She-Hulk real quick. Because I haven't seen it. You've seen one episode.
All I wanted to point out. Okay. All I want to point out with She-Hulk. The very first episode I watched.
Wait. Rayanne says, "You have Disney Plus. It's my login, you ass."
I was actually going to say, I think it's something we pirate off a relative. And I couldn't quite spit it out because I couldn't remember. So, no, I do not have Disney Plus.
Yeah, no, you just...
The McDonald Ranch has... I don't even know if we have it.
It's just playing Bluey somewhere in his house. He doesn't know where.
That's when you need to get something done and you say, go watch something on your TV upstairs.
Yeah.
Right.
If it's my house, that's Bluey.
No, they watch... well, maybe that's on Hulu. They watch something in Garbage and Dirty or...
Oh, the trucks?
Yes.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
The
about.
Scoot, Muck, and Dizzy?
horribly animated trucks.
Yeah, the dirty truck is the garbage truck, and then there's
Greasy
like an
and dirty, or
excavator that.
Diggy and dirty. I don't know, it's something like that.
Yeah, it's awful.
Smelly
Don't
and
ever
dirty?
watch that again. It is. It's like smelly and dirty.
Somebody's gonna. If my wife is still awake, she's
I
gonna.
think it is. Anyway,
Yeah, go
She-Hulk.
Never seen it, so go ahead.
Listen, I was super excited about this show because I enjoy the She-Hulk comic. Like, I thought it was really good. A lot of people think the She-Hulk comic is really good.
Yeah, me. And I'm actually quite a fan of
Yeah,
She-Hulk.
absolutely. Like, a lot of people think the She-Hulk comic is super good. Everybody followed it. And then they transitioned it to a show. And, man, are they not following... They're just not following the comic. And they're changing things to be... I don't want to say the word, but they are changing things to be
Woke? Okay.
I don't want to say that word because it's negative. It's very negative. People hate it. People will assume you are a certain way when you say the word woke. I don't want to perceive us as being those people that are not woke or anti-woke or whatever. It's not that. It's just that, like, they are portraying a character that does not exist.
Right.
They're creating a character that does not exist. They're creating a story.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
So I haven't watched it. Full disclosure. I've read a lot. People are very upset by a lot of things. There is one thing in particular. I haven't watched it for a reason, Jerry. I haven't watched it because I've heard this controversy. I have heard legitimate people that I'm not talking people that I know in the real world, but people I follow online and outlets that I follow online and trust the reviews of.
Yeah.
And they've all said it's a really, really bad garbage show.
The production is also
outside
bad.
of any political bullshit. They're saying it's not a good show. Okay. The only people that are saying that it's a good show are people that are defending it for political reasons, or like Nerdist, who's like the most political organization that ever existed.
And feminism.
Yes. So anyway, I just thought, you know what? I don't need to watch this right now. I'll wait till it's all out. It's not for me.
No.
It's not made for me. I don't need to comment on it. So I'm like, I don't really even need to watch it. However, I am a fan of the She-Hulk comics. So my point is, let me finish.
Okay.
My point is that the She-Hulk comics came about in the late 70s, 70s sometime, during the rise of feminism. It was an extremely feminist book. Extremely. It has always been a feminist book. For the show to be explicitly feminist now at this point is not out of context for the character. Is it different than the book? Yes, but the 1970s are different than 2022.
But also, it's like if you're trying to promote feminism in a certain light or in a certain way, I feel like it could have been done differently.
It could have, but it's not for you.
So here's the problem, is the MCU should be for everyone, right? Like the MCU has put out movies and TV shows and comics and whatever for everyone. Like everyone can gain something from something.
In fairness, you haven't watched it yet. Oh, you're just going off reviews.
But I've also watched more than you have.
You've watched 2 episodes. 2 episodes a season does not make.
You're right. I agree with you with that. But what I'm saying is, like, we haven't read every comic book that it's ever been made.
No, I agree. And I don't need
We haven't watched everything that MCU has ever put out. And and everybody has opinions on them. Everybody has an opinion on something. What I'm saying is, like, the MCU puts their content out as it is for everyone.
Yeah, it needs to be a big tent. I get it.
It needs to be a big tent for everyone.
But it can have things that focus on certain aspects and to different audiences. I don't think there's a problem. I don't think Ms. Marvel is made for us as an audience. I think it's made for teenagers. And that's fine. It's good.
But being made for teenagers doesn't... No, I don't feel like being made for teenagers like takes away from the content that you're creating. Like, you can appreciate what they're creating as teenage content.
I think we should have this discussion after we've both watched the show. We're addressing as news the controversy that exists. We've addressed it.
There's a lot of it.
There's a lot of controversy, but there's two fronts. There's people that are talking bad about it because they're saying it's a woke feminist show, and there's people that are saying that it's a really badly made show. So I guess we'll see which one's true.
So the CGI is not good.
Yeah. She does basically tell Hulk, who was abused as a child. His anger
is the problem.
Comes from being abused as a child and watching his father kill his mother, right, in front of him.
Yeah.
And then he goes to fight against Thanos.
The whole life of the Hulk was diminished in one episode.
He watched the love of his life killed in front of him, too, right?
Yes.
As he's chased down by the military. And then he is off-worlded to go live on an alien planet for a bunch of years. He comes back. Thanos kills all of his friends.
He comes back and then sacrifices his own body to try to save everyone in the world.
Tries to commit suicide 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Can't do it. And then he comes back and he tries to give Jennifer Walters a little bit of sage advice about controlling her anger. And she says to him, what? She says, I don't need to control my anger. I don't need to take advice from you. I've been controlling my anger my whole life as I get catcalled.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
And prior to all of this, he literally tried to sacrifice himself to take Thanos's gauntlet. And he's like, listen, I'm the only one that can possibly take all of these gamma rays. Nobody else can. I'm going to take this for you so everyone else can save their lives. And he destroyed his whole arm because and he watched everyone else disappear.
And watches his best friend die.
Yeah. And then, right. And then after that, after he ruins his arm,
she lectures him.
Iron Man kills himself in front of everybody while he's still alive. And then she tells him, I've had such a harder life than you.
Because I have to deal with catcalling men. And men mansplaining to me. So yeah, that's problematic.
And he's like, and he literally says, man, you're right.
Yeah, it's problematic.
That was silly. It's
getting a lot of hate.
You need to watch an episode. You really do.
And then when she
in order to understand this, it is extreme.
All I need to watch is the clip of her twerking in a law office after she gives a big speech about how she can't be taken seriously
with Megan the Stallion. I don't understand it. So they bring Megan the Stallion in the MCU universe.
3?
Yeah, episode 3. Yeah.
Isn't it Megan 3 Stallion?
No, the.
Oh, okay.
Stallion.
Isn't a stallion a male horse?
But it's the Stallion. She is taking that over.
Okay.
I think.
I don't know who that person is, so I don't know.
Well, she's a rapper and singer of some sort, and yeah, that makes them better.
Okay.
So
point. She's complaining about not getting taken seriously as a woman in an office, and she is in her office twerking.
It's really sad.
Cool. All right, that's all we need to talk about She-Hulk. I'll watch it eventually. But I just felt like I haven't watched it. I'm not interested in watching it because I really feel like it's not made for me. So I don't need to watch it.
And I agree
because
that
I don't mean
point.
to be negative about it.
I really do agree that point. It's not made for us. It's made for a certain audience, and that can be their thing. That's fine. But I don't think it should be a main point of the MCU because it's not.
My only point with that was She-Hulk has always been a very feminist front-heavy book.
I agree. But in a way that was I don't know, not as derogatory. I don't know how to explain that.
I don't know, but whatever.
So I have a question. Very little interest in any of this, to be honest, but Why do you feel obligated to watch it?
I mean, I don't feel obligated to watch it. I read the book. I read comics.
You've read the comic. You'd like to see how the show portrays the comic.
It's not that I've only just read the
'Cause you
comics. I
seem to-
enjoy the comics. I like the character.
Oh yeah, the comics
you seem
are
to have
really
a
good.
negative attitude going in. I'm just wondering. And you said, "Well, I'm going to watch it. I'm not really looking forward to it."
I have a
I'm
neg-
wondering why you feel obligated.
I feel like it's a part of the MCU, and
I agree.
That's
but
a good enough answer. You feel like you because I'm a completist. Like if I start a show,
Absolutely,
I
yes.
have to finish it, even if I'm not really enjoying it.
it's a piece of the puzzle.
Very rarely will I just quit a show and stop. It's
Right.
got to be bad.
So if you think about the MCU, there's multiple
So-
different stories on different timelines and
So
different arcs.
he's answering my question. Is you feel like it's part of a universe? You've read it. You've
Absolutely.
been on the literary end of it. Now you feel like you need to follow up and at least see what the film end
I think
does.
two reasons.
Yes.
Two reasons. There's
Fair enough.
There's that.
Good answer.
we
there's
Fair
that
both
enough.
aspect.
read multiple comics.
Fair enough. I wasn't trying to challenge. I was just asking.
I think the main reason, though, honestly, is because I've enjoyed the character, and I've always wanted them to make a live action She-Hulk.
We've
and when
talked
they
about it.
announced it, I was super excited about it, and then it comes out, it gets terrible reviews, and it's
Not
getting
what you
panned
expect.
as basically a woke show, which is not necessarily something that I'm super excited about. But and there's another show that got panned with that too, two shows, and we'll talk about both of them later. And I enjoyed those
Well,
shows a lot. So
We had a certain expectation. You haven't seen it. I had a certain expectation of the first show introducing She-Hulk. And I was on this show, on Snarf Talk, talking about She-Hulk. And I was like, man, I can't wait for this to come out. I'm so excited for it. But it's
are you surprised a show called She-Hulk didn't end up being made for a male mid-30 demographic?
I don't.
I'm not shocked.
Not shocked.
Yeah, in retrospect, no, I shouldn't be shocked. But I think of things in like an enjoyment level, like of the comics I read and everything I've had in the past. Like I think of it that way. So I assume it's just me assuming things like, oh man, I'm going to get this comic book in live action. I'm going to be able to enjoy it and see these people reenact everything I've loved about this comic, and it doesn't come across that way.
Not everything
And that,
hits. I don't think the show hit for me quite as well. I enjoyed it. I thought it was well made, I should say. It's not that I enjoyed it.
It's very well made.
It's very well made. I saw who it was for. It's not for me. But I can enjoy it. But I didn't follow through watching it, and I probably won't.
yeah, and I won't either.
So, I mean, I don't know. That's where we're at on that. But let's move on from.
And then we get into Sandman.
Did we get into Sandman? Before
I
we go into
guess.
more what we're watching, because we have so many, we're not going to get to it all tonight. We got David here.
Yeah.
Let's see what he's been watching,
Oh,
and let's
gosh.
talk about that, and we can bring him more into the fold of the conversation.
Last show I watched, Better Call Saul.
Oh, love it.
And I finished that. And I've watched Breaking Bad from the beginning and Better Call Saul from the beginning, basically in the last year, 18 months
Oh
maybe.
my gosh.
That's really stupid.
Incredible.
Now, I will say I never watched Breaking Bad ever when it was live. I didn't watch it till after it was
So
all
you
done.
binged that from the beginning.
But, I mean, that show's been off the air for 10 years.
I binged everything
No.
until the last season.
I don't know.
It's been off the air for a long time.
No, it's been since like 13 or 14.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So it's been many, many years since I've
Close
seen
to
it.
10.
I lived in Mazan when the last season aired, so it had to be before 15.
Yeah.
So
Or
when-
15 and before.
When your past Snarf Talk guest, Tim McDonald, and I lived together in college,
Yeah.
That was on the air.
our second senior year, we rented, I think season 1 had ended, and we rented, which is an old-fashioned thing. You used to go to a store
Did
and
you
rent
Netflix
the DVDs.
rent?
No.
Because I was original Netflix. I've had Netflix
Yeah.
since the day it came out.
My parents had it where you got DVDs in the mail.
In the mail, yeah.
We
no,
did
we went
too.
to like a Blockbuster, which is a very old-fashioned thing.
Yeah.
He did
On
and
Neal
got
Street?
and got season 1. No, we lived out on Lincoln, way out by the interstate.
I didn't know there was a Blockbuster over there. I lived
I
about a
don't know where
block
it
and a
was.
half from Blockbuster on Neal Street.
We watched 3 or 4 or 5 episodes like on a Thursday night, something. most of our friends had graduated. We sat down, we binged a bunch of it. And on a Friday, I went to class, and I came back from class, and he was watching it. I'm like, I thought we were going to, it's like a couple. Like, I thought we were going to watch this together. He's like, no, I watched them all. Never watched. I just quit. I said, no, like, I'm done. And I think we got back to school.
You basically threw a hissy fit that lasted 12 years.
Yeah, I guess. So we went home for the weekend, and on Monday, or whenever we got back to it, he had taken the first season back and rented season 2. And he's several episodes, hours and hours ahead of me. And I'm just like, no, I'm not going to catch up. There's no way I'm going to do it. And I never went back to it. I just never thought about it again. And then you guys talked about it. Several people talked about it. He talked about Breaking Bad. And then I'd hear people on the radio talking about Better Call Saul all the time. So I just binged it, started it over. And it doesn't take very long if I get into something in the winter.
No.
And then as soon as that was over, I went to Better Call Saul. And then I caught up to not this season, but the previous season.
I was exactly the same.
But I'm still a DirecTV person.
Me too.
So as soon as I finished that, it was like, well, I think why I rushed to finish is they were talking about the season premiere, and I watched it weekly, which is the way I prefer to watch a show.
Absolutely.
I agree.
It's the way I prefer to watch a drama or any show.
And I never understood that until you binge watch a show. Like once you binge watch a show and then you get one that is week to week, you don't understand how much you want that.
Binge watching a show
I
is
do
a
it with
thing.
podcasts. I have 10 podcasts that as soon as they come out weekly,
Yeah.
I listen to them. That's number one what I do.
That's what I want to do.
Yep. And then I supplement it with, so what I did with Breaking Bad is binged it. And then I had Better Call Saul, and I binged it until I got to
A certain
where
point.
I was caught up.
Yeah.
And I was caught up, and then I went and found something else, and then binged it. And then I keep getting to where I'm caught up on some of the stuff, or you catch up and it's over.
And that gives you the opportunity to move on to something else.
You move on, but then you keep up with
you
the
clear
old
that
one.
headspace and you're like into something else, and then you're like, okay, now I can get back into this one thing.
What's funny is a lot of my shows I've been regular on is like Snowfall on FX. Actually, they're all FX shows. Snowfall I've watched from the very beginning.
Man, I've never gotten into it.
So I was always supplementing Snowfall and Fargo and some of these other
for sure.
FX shows.
I haven't watched the last season of Fargo, the one with Chris Rock, or is that even 2 seasons?
But it's that was I don't remember. It's tied in, but it's the Kansas City Mob. That was the last season.
Yeah,
but that was before any COVID shutdowns. That's been 3 years ago.
Yeah.
There is a really popular show on FX that just is on right now, and I don't remember what it's called. I've never heard of it. Doesn't matter.
Anyway, that's about all I've watched. Jerry, what have you been watching?
But
my gosh,
talk about Better Call Saul. I haven't watched the last season yet. I
watched it week to week.
So I watched all of Breaking Bad, binged it all. I might have been live during the last season. I don't know. But it was towards the end of the run or after it was over. I liked Breaking Bad, but I wasn't as crazy about it as everybody else. It was a real depressing, dark show. Made me feel like shit.
Yeah, sometimes shows do that.
Yeah, for sure. And but
Hoarders and Buried Alive are also shows on
My
television.
600-pound life.
Yeah, Intervention. They're all, sometimes that's a feeling you need to reach inside yourself.
But something at a week-to-week pace.
I need to understand why I don't need to be 600 pounds.
But binging it, I would agree. Binging it, it's
a whole different world. If you're going to watch 4 or 5 episodes a night, you're going to get home you're going to start watching something at 9 o'clock, and you're going to watch it till 2, 3 in the morning, and you're going to watch just such negativity for 4 hours. So but I liked it. It was intriguing. I mean, there's no doubt Breaking Bad's probably one of the best shows of all time. But Better Call Saul came out, and it had that grit and that edge, but it wasn't as dark. It wasn't as heavy. It had some humor, and the acting is so phenomenal. I prefer Better Call Saul to Breaking Bad all day long. I think it's a better show.
It was, but because it built off so much that was built on the Breaking Bad.
Well, of course,
world.
yeah. It was like built on the world
Later
of Breaking
on,
Bad.
in the later seasons, yes. In the first couple seasons, not so much, but yeah.
But even so, it wasn't necessarily directly built on it. But I think why you took so much positivity out of that story was because you had hung on for the darkness of
For sure.
Breaking Bad.
Well, and
you were almost like surprised, like this is bright and funny and witty, but you're waiting for the darkness, as opposed to the reverse, where during Breaking Bad you're waiting for the light moments of Saul Goodman, and get that away from me.
No, if you're monologuing, you need to be on camera.
And I think they without each other, neither would be as strong. Because I think now, after watching Better Call Saul, you can go back to Breaking Bad and seasons 2 through whatever.
Pick up a lot more, yeah.
You go, oh my gosh, this is so much depth and planning. And who knows if
absolutely.
Who knows if that's the truth, but you'll get a lot more out of that.
I really honestly feel like, though, for me, it's not even close. Like, I would go to Better Call Saul any day of the week over. I sprayed chemicals in here today just for that reason.
Rickety Cricket. We should talk about it. It's always sunny.
Nolan had a callback. This is what I love. Nolan's got a callback comment about David, not even knowing him, never been on the show, knows that he's a food guy.
Yeah.
And asked, has he seen The Bear?
Love it.
I know. I mean, and we've talked about it obviously outside of the show, but
can't wait to watch it again.
I absolutely
started
love that show
watching
too.
it with my
It's
nephew.
one of the best shows.
We went to the Smokies to Gatlinburg with my entire side of the family, all the Seaton top side, my immediate family, my siblings and all of their spouses and family. And my nephew, he's in college in South Carolina, he said, "Hey, what should we watch?" We're talking one night at the cabin, and I said, "We should all watch the show The Bear." And we watched a couple episodes, and he was hooked. My brother was hooked. I was hooked. We were, I already watched it, but I can't wait to watch it again.
And we did talk about that a little bit on the show.
There
were a couple
we-
things here and there I had some problems with.
You were worried about the Chicago tropes.
Mm-hmm.
The Italian beef and
very Chicago tropey.
and the accent.
That's fine though, because it is Chicago. Like that is Chicago.
Over the top
But
Chicago.
do you know who else is a huge fan of Chicago tropes? The people who they're mocking.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the whole De Bears thing.
Absolutely.
There's
no doubt about it.
SNL wanted that to be a joke, making fun of those people, and the people that embraced it the most were those people.
That's what happens. I mean,
And
Joliet Jake, the Blues Brothers.
Yeah, the Blues
I mean, it was
Brothers.
all making fun of the Midwest.
and it's always been embraced by it. It's kind of a
That's okay.
it's fine. Are there
exactly
some
what's-
inaccuracies? Of course.
It wasn't the inaccuracies that bothered me. What bothered me was the over-the-top trying to let you know at all times.
We're in Chicago.
Like, this is interesting because it's Chicago. It's not L.A. and New York. This is interesting because it's Chicago.
So
But
I
that also evolved during the season.
it evolved in Shameless.
I didn't pick that
It
up.
started in Shameless and maybe some shows before that.
So
but
the only time I picked that up is when they went Skyline.
Also, interesting point. Not the same writers or showrunners.
No. Yeah, then
I thought I could have sworn the people that make The Bear were the same as Shameless. Completely unrelated.
No, I think the guy that wanted to create the bear
Probably just saw that character.
handpicked
Oh, sure.
yeah.
Lip. Actually, he was interviewed on The Score, and he talked a little bit about
Oh,
that.
I didn't hear this.
Yeah, he talked a little bit about how the character's pretty similar. I mean, that character could be Lip.
Oh yeah.
Actually, that was one of
Absolutely
my
could.
biggest positive points about the show.
That he wasn't exactly the
He
same.
wasn't the same. They could have made him the same. They could have, but they didn't. They didn't make him an alcoholic. They didn't make him a druggie. He doesn't do drugs. He doesn't do alcohol.
No, he was
Alcohol
passionate
actually
and
had no part in that show,
none.
and it would have been a logical place to go.
For sure.
And drugs. Well, it kind of
Well,
wasn't, but
drugs
in the
were
background,
a little part of it,
but
but
in the background, but it was never
very
present.
background. Very background.
It wasn't in
It would have been
the chef,
so easy to make everybody alcoholics.
the Bourdain, the chef, the party reputation that world gets. You know, people in the service industry,
they made
always
it
go out.
more serious. They took the serious approach to what like running a business was, because he was so intense on what he needed to do.
No, they just focused on his other vices rather than focusing on that.
His
part
vices
it was
were
anger and temper and
his
ego.
vices were
ego and expecting too much of everybody and expressing his shortcomings on his.
so his vices
people that
were
were underneath him.
after his brother died, like the stresses that came on him,
Right, but
to
a very
make
easy way to go with that to express
the
what you're
business.
saying is that he copes with it with all of these other things, and they just didn't. It would have been lazy.
No, what does he cope with? He copes with the business.
But what I'm saying is, how does he cope with the business and the stresses of it? He did it by having poor personal relationships, rather than
the anger,
rather
and, like,
than just showing him going out to a bar or going to an alley and
it was
doing
him.
a deal.
It was him putting it back into the business,
Right.
And like arguing with the staff and
yeah, so I
living
enjoyed,
the life with the
I
staff.
actually enjoyed how they handled all of that.
I feel like that's more
I think
real
the
to
vice,
life.
the vice
real to life.
is the ambition and the ego. So his regret,
He absolutely
for
had an
that.
ego
but
coming into that.
I will say one thing that annoys me is nothing in the world annoys me than seeing that character, that actor, walking outside and lighting a cigarette. It's just whatever he lights,
because it's such a lip thing.
It
like
is,
that is the
yes.
carryover,
Yes,
and maybe that's that actor.
Might be.
Maybe
could
that's
be.
sort of that method acting where
I hate that.
maybe that's what that human does when he gets done with the take.
Why do
is
you
he
hate
goes,
that when that's something that you would do?
I would have done. It isn't though. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Nolan said, binged it in one day. I worked in a family-owned restaurant just like it, making Italian beefs in Aurora for 5 years. Totally went to Rosati's and got an Italian beef immediately afterwards.
Oh, that's like
Afterwards of watching this show.
I have a family member who's a chef, you know, a professional in the food industry, and I've been told that he comes home and he just makes himself some hot dogs. Like he's just sick of looking at, you know, what he's looking at all day.
It's like a mechanic that never works on a car.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Mechanic
you're not
that
gonna
on a
come
Saturday
home-
goes to Taco Bell and leaves his car to Jiffy Lube for 15 minutes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because you don't want to do that. Yeah.
You don't want to do what you do at work
Yeah. Right.
when you come home. Like it's a job. So when you come home, you want that like something to make you relaxed.
I think that the
And
interesting
doing the least you can do.
Yeah. I think one interesting part of that show to me was the futility and this is maybe some unrealisticness about it, but the futility of the way he's trying to like trump up the quality with like these prime cuts of meat and all this stuff and a roast beef sandwich. But my point is they completely ignore what would likely be the massive buzz, the marketing of just his name being at this restaurant.
That's what I
is
was going to get at.
everything. You know, the only reason anybody's talking about any of this is because this guy's a celebrity chef, essentially.
If this
and he's
dude
come
was
to the- here.
as famous as what everybody talks about him as being as famous as he was, working in these kitchens,
Yeah. But what if,
why isn't that talked about? Why isn't that promoted?
I just think that I don't know. I don't know why it's not talked about, but they make it seem like it's about him changing the menu when that any
they make it
success is
almost
gonna
a
be based on his
detriment
name.
to the.
so my biggest problem with it was based on the menu and their prep and what they were doing.
It was like a detriment to the.
But what I'm picturing is the Pepsi board with the plastic letters.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, Boz's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've got your pizza puffs and your chili dog and all
I
of your
understand
gyros
that,
and all that kind of stuff. That's what an Italian beef stand for me means.
But why not promote the chef?
I'm stepping way back from that. at the beginning of the series, they're like French fries counter service.
Yeah.
That's
and
what
you're
it was.
walking in, it's counter service paper
It's all
bags.
counter
It's a hot
service.
dog stand, an Italian beef stand.
It's Baz's.
It's
Which is-
Baz's. It's
Maybe
Dave's
at
Dogs.
a little bit higher level, but
Yeah, it's Baz's, but in the city.
right.
The original.
Right.
What I had trouble with is when they were elevating the menu. Where are the waitresses?
Where are the customers for it? You know what I mean?
No, it's how do you serve some of those?
I get it.
Those meals that they're serving, even spaghetti and meatballs, even family meal, even
who's serving it?
who's serving it? Is this going out in plastic to go containers?
I think it is, yeah.
And foil?
Yeah,
Because when
I
I'm
think it
picturing an
was.
Italian beef, see, and I think that's part of the Chicago thing that's probably not translating well, is when we're picturing, even those of us that are, we're from a
100%.
rural area.
We're to-go food. These
We're
people are
picturing.
these are walking out of the restaurant, eating it on the street.
We're picturing a hot dog stand. We're two guys in a service truck, and they've got a foil wrapped Italian beef that's dipped in a whole paper bag full of napkins.
And it's
gotta
okay.
make it 20 miles.
And
Or
that's
it's gotta
okay
make it
for us.
2 blocks. It depends what time they have to be back at work. That's the whole hot dog stand.
All of that.
It's lunch. And if you're coming there at dinner time, that's fine. It's 5 o'clock on your way home. But when they're talking about the fight, and I get the whole, I
love that.
I know the whole kitchen thought, but I go,
What a great idea!
this is such a different atmosphere and setup. I'm thinking logistics of a restaurant.
Right.
I'm thinking
That's
this
wonderful.
counter service. What are you doing with that counter service? What are you doing with the hot plates, with the steam table, where you're keeping this beef hot that's simmering all day?
Listen.
And you're either dipping it or you're half dipping it, you're full dipping it, you're going dry. You got your sweet peppers, your hot peppers, your mozzarella cheese, your provolone. What are you doing with that when you're going risotto?
Right.
Risotto's got to be cooked fresh, and it's not the same people, and
you're
it's
not
fine.
taking risotto to go.
If you do day and
you're
night,
not.
that's fine in the
You can't.
restaurant. What I struggled with is we're talking fine dining here.
I think they're doing 5 tables.
5 tables, but there still
Hang on.
has to be
Time
a
out.
waitress.
Time out.
And
That's the name of the
cuz
episode. We're talking fine dining here.
Now, they are.
I found it.
I
I
like
found
that.
it.
I like that a lot. Now, they previewed what the next step would be, and maybe they are going to take that step into the logistics of a restaurant with front of house, back of house,
Oh, for sure they are.
Listen,
and all of which would be great.
it's the escalation of a restaurant. So they're showing you the beginning, like what they can do
Right.
in the middle of it. And I think if they do, I hope they do another season of it.
I hope they
I'm-
drop all the family drama bullshit. Then just do
I'm
that
sure they
show.
will. No,
I'll
listen.
just watch that show.
Listen, I'm sure they will. They're going to escalate this show to the point of being a fine dining restaurant. I think that's the
That's where they're-
point
oh,
of
for
this
sure.
show.
So the sous chef and the cousin,
They're doing
those two actors make that show.
this first season. This
opinion.
first season is showing you
the handyman. What's his name?
Yeah, he's great too.
Yeah,
He's a chef.
yeah.
He was brought. He was brought in to be a food.
I watch him
I
all
know.
the time on YouTube.
He was brought in to be a food consultant. Like, that's a little inaccurate.
Maddie Matheson.
Maddie Matheson.
Yeah.
You're right. And
Maddie
they brought him in
Matheson.
to be like a consultant.
Oh, he runs the show. He's a producer.
But he was like quality control on accuracy.
Yeah.
And then he's so funny and he's such a good interview
My God.
that they just found
He's
this character for him.
ridiculous.
And I think they're setting this up for him to be a much more main player in season 2.
He should be. And I believe the show is setting itself up to create a new show. Like they're on an arc to create a show out of the bear
I disagree.
No way.
to be something better than that.
They
I
could
I
even
do.
got
think
one
what will
season.
happen out of this
No, they're
is
going to be.
the kitchen drama, the kitchen dramedy, the kitchen comedy.
It'll all stay there, but they're going to be a better show.
But
They're going to be a better
what
restaurant.
do you,
I
other
should say.
than waiting? What do you
Than
know
waiting? Yeah.
of from a
No.
kitchen?
We talked about
Yes,
this at the
and-
time,
and
and,
I'm-
there's
I'm-
nothing.
And it
I
was
don't believe
tried
that's true.
with the Bradley Cooper show,
Yes,
Kitchen
Kitchen
Confidential.
Confidential.
which was like a Fox series that was.
Which my mom remembers. She watched that. I don't remember it though.
But that was before streaming. It was before.
It was like 2004.
Uncensored. And I think if you did that show, you could bring Bradley Cooper back to play.
If you had Bradley Cooper,
Bradley
Cooper on HBO Max in a Kitchen Confidential show, uncensored,
or on a Netflix show where they just say do what you want, uncensored, and make a Bourdain-inspired show.
Listen,
where
I think they're already on that path
of his Les Halles experience with all of the people he writes about.
I don't think he's the right actor.
They're already on that path, David. They're already on that path for this show.
You think this show is going to be that?
This show is already on the path of doing that.
I think this is a stepping stone for some other creator to go.
I agree.
No,
Bingo.
I think this is a stepping
I bet
stone.
there's 4 shows in development right now.
This is a stepping stone.
50.
Yeah, because that's how Hollywood works.
You go, oh my gosh, look what they're doing.
They made this show for nothing, probably no
budget. You
budget.
don't think this show was planned on anything else?
No.
I do. I absolutely believe what he's saying about the Anthony Bourdain show.
Like, you think this is building off of a show from 18 years ago?
I do.
I don't.
I do.
I think
I absolutely
the people
believe
that failed that show 18 years ago,
they knew what they were doing.
What's every popular show right now? It's a reboot of everything.
And
every movie, every show is a reboot.
They're rebooting a food show right now.
This one is kicking down the door, and they'll fail.
I honestly don't know where
they're not going to fail.
Even talking about right now, because I don't. What you're saying doesn't make any sense, Jerry.
Yes, it does. They're rebooting a food show that happened 18 years ago.
They're making another show about. They're making the first show in 20 years about a kitchen.
They're making Shameless meets Top Chef.
I think when they made this show, they thought Shameless.
Yes.
That's what they had in their head.
They did not. They did not have Anthony Bourdain in their head.
Absolutely.
But as an Anthony Bourdain, huge Anthony Bourdain fan, I myself see some parallels here and go,
for sure,
holy crap, what could a really, really good writer do with?
And you don't think those really good writers think the same thing?
Yeah,
like you're the only person that thinks
what
this?
we're saying.
I think while we're talking now, that there's probably a whole season written.
Exactly. Of the same show, The Bear.
No.
And that is what's going to create the show.
It's The Bear minus all of the backstory. You're gonna get the backstory through, and I think it works perfect in like a half hour or 40-minute.
Maybe
very small, because it's going to be quick.
I don't think you're.
I bet you the second episode of The Bear. I bet you the second.
You're going to have a lot more of the personal relationships.
Or the second
and it's going to be
season
just
of The Bear
fiery stuff.
Is more into the Anthony Bourdain scheme than you think. I bet you it is.
I agree with that,
but much will be. My point is, there's going to be 50 other projects making the same shit.
Well, of course they're going to.
But without the FX umbrella is what I'm talking about.
Of course they're going to spur off of that.
Not only that, but we're going to see comedies.
Yep.
Coming out based on kitchens.
So making things off of one thing, like in branching out, is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about The Bear producing a season and a show that is the basis of what you guys are talking about.
I think they will go that direction.
Exactly. I'm not talking about out-branching comedies and whatever else can spawn off this.
Yeah, right.
Like, there can be 1,000 shows that can spawn off of this, for sure. But the basis of this show is going to be what we just talked about with Anthony Bourdain, like stemming.
Stop handling that mic.
A show.
Is it?
Yes.
You see here?
It's you.
I'm sorry.
You don't need to handle it. That's nervous energy.
It is.
What else we got? The Bear.
We didn't finish that whole thought.
What?
Well, that was a complete side note based on Dirk, right?
Nolan. No, I think we did finish it. I think what we're saying, we're all saying the same thing. Is basically we're just saying it in different ways. You're talking about the direction that the Bear, the show, is going to take.
Correct.
I agree. There's no doubt the direction that they're going to take.
Yeah.
Because they've had success.
And that's where
that success is going to. It's the troubled chef.
It's going to take
the Anthony Bourdain story,
like the reservations take.
Who has appreciation for that show, and in my direct experience, it's a lot of people that like that.
I agree. And so we're saying
the foodie end of it
which is a different thing that we're saying. All we're saying is that because of the success of this show, we're going to see a lot more food-based shows.
That I agree with.
That are going to range from comedies to dramas.
I took it as
and everything in between.
And everything. And, you know, we already have the biggest reality genre is dating and food.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I mean, so we already got
took
reality.
that as like you were saying the Bear was going to produce this one show that was like different than what it was.
No, the Bear isn't going to change. The Bear is going to lean more into the troubled, smoking cigarettes, everything's falling apart, chaotic world of the Kitchen Confidential.
Of
you know what
kitchen,
I mean? Like, that's what
the kitchen life.
And I think you could do a kitchen-based show that is, you know, a studio comedy.
Scrubs in a kitchen.
I would love that.
A single cam
Two
comedy.
broke girls is in the kitchen, and they do use some of the sexual harassment tropes and some of that.
That's a multi-cam show. I'm saying you can do it as a single cam, like
like Two Broke Girls meets Scrubs meets The Office.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that one's almost too easy to write.
Absolutely, because it leaves the room. Okay, so this is.
But you could also
sitcoms have to be a certain way, right? But single cams like Scrubs leaves breath for severe drama to happen. It leaves the tear-jerking moments like the Goldbergs, right? You can have a comedy, and at the end, you can have the voiceover speech with the tearjerker. That Scrubs started that, and the Goldbergs is doing it now.
Why are you doing it? Like, you're the guy that's talking. That's why we need to see you.
No cameras.
I can't believe we don't have that other camera. All right, let's talk about another show because we covered that. So, Nolan.
No,
wanted to point out the first shot of the show of the Bear in the cage is representative of his ambition.
At the Italian beef place I worked at, we definitely didn't have risotto. Counter service, sandwiches, wrapped in foil.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's no doubt that's what it is. It's Boz's.
Yeah, it's Boz's. Yeah.
But without
I'm
the
bristling,
nachos and without the...
I'm bristling against Boz's because I think Boz's is the suburban version. There's 100 versions.
No, man, they've been around for a long time.
Listen.
There's 100 versions probably in the city.
Listen,
or
I was up in
Cicero or the direct suburbs.
I was in
somewhere closer.
Right.
That are probably somebody would go, Boz.
Time
because
out.
Boz's has boiled hot dogs. And I bet if you'd go to one of those, most of them have gone to the all beef.
Yeah.
The traditional.
I went to a restaurant
beef hot
that
dogs.
was in an old gas station in Cicero just last week. It was called Godfather's. And it's an old Italian deli. And they were cutting meat. It was literally like a gas station that looked run down. It looked dilapidated. Nobody would want to go there. And we stopped there, me and the guy that I work with, my mechanic. We went there and we saw that it was an Italian deli, and I was like, man, I want an Italian beef. Like, let's try this place. So we pulled in, and they were like hand slicing beef behind the counter, and like talking to us while they're slicing beef. And I said, I just want an Italian beef. They had nothing on the boards, like nothing around them, nothing like put up about what you can order. And we said, what can we get? And they're like,
give me the beef.
Italian beef.
Combo.
Yeah. The combo. They started rattling all this stuff off. I said, I just want an Italian beef. All right. How long? 8, 9-inch. 6-inch, 12-inch.
They sell it by the inch.
They do. And I was like, I'll take a 9-inch. All right. You want chips or fries? I said, I'll take chips. And then the guy next to me ordered, and they gave me a beef with hot jardiniere.
Was it homemade?
That I've never had in my life. I've never had anything like this in my life.
Was it homemade?
Yeah, all of it was in the house, in-house.
I'm talking about the jardiniere.
Yes,
it was. You think it was homemade?
They told me it was homemade. They said everything is made in-house.
That's cool.
That's the Bear.
It was Godfather's.
Now the only
in
thing
Romeoville.
The only thing I would change about that is when you walk into a place like that, you say,
I was so set back. I was like, I don't know what to do.
What I would say is, what do I need? What should I order here?
You're right.
Especially me. I look like a guy that can enjoy an Italian beef.
You look like a guy that's
can enjoy Italian beef.
Right.
And you just say, what do I need? What's good here? And sometimes they tell you something and you go, well, that's dumb.
That's dumb. I don't
and then
want
you order whatever you want. But if he's like, hey, we're known for our Italian gyros or, whatever, you say, okay, I'll take one.
Give me that.
Yep. Give me one of those.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah. You
completely agree.
You got to read the room though. There's some places you go to, you don't, if it's a waitress that just works there.
No,
you let it go.
I completely agree.
So the guy slicing.
But if the lady looks like.
If she looks like she's been there for 35 years.
She is the mother of the guy behind the bar.
Then you ask her.
Yeah.
You ask her.
It's probably her recipe.
Yeah, but if it's an 18-year-old that's just
correct.
like, I'm just here.
Chicken fingers.
Yeah, you don't do that.
So at the time, there was only one man standing behind the bar slicing beef.
How old?
And I said,
how old?
He was probably in his 20s.
Okay. I was hoping you were going to say like, I don't know, 68.
No, he was young.
Do whatever he wants.
No, he was young. So it gave me a little hesitation. I was like, what do I want? He's like, you want the beef. I said, what kind of beef?
That's just because he hadn't sliced the turkey.
He's like, there's a lot of types of beef.
But a lot of those places are like high school standards, right? So like the place has been around forever. High school kids go work there. Like Corleone's, which I've heard is possibly closing.
No.
Really? Mm-hmm. No. Not going to happen.
That's the only place around here I thought would be. Two
happen.
places around here I thought would be Triple D worthy.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Corleone's and Leonore.
What's Triple D worthy?
Diners, drive-ins, and dives. Place to be featured on
Come
TV.
on. Who are you?
It's not always about pure quality and uniqueness of the food. Sometimes it's just
community
and the atmosphere.
It is all about community.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's and nostalgia and the whole story, the whole thing.
It's getting your community around you.
Man, that place has hired high school kids since it opened.
Same with Dwight Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
And those are two of my favorite establishments in the area. Now, if that place were to close and you wanted to go with your 18th venture in life.
Well, I have a restaurant.
Oh, I'd be part of a Corleone's. I don't want to run it, but I would invest because that place is a staple.
I mean, I have a restaurant right now. You can run it.
I want no part of it.
All right. Next song. What are we talking about? What else have you been watching? You talked about Better Call Saul. You got anything on our list? You got anything that would possibly be on our list?
Well, I've been rewatching It's Always Sunny.
Oh, man. I've been all over that.
Mostly because of our conversations.
No, actually, we had no conversation.
We could talk about this because I recently got you on to a new venture in your life.
What, the It's Always Sunny podcast?
The It's Always Sunny
Which
podcast.
is why I've been starting to rewatch it.
Yes.
But I can't find a place and I have most of them, but I can't find a place to just go and get every episode of Sunny.
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's randomly on.
So it's like The Office with Pam and Angela from The Office.
Yeah, it's so weird.
They watch an episode, then they talk about it. And that's what Sunny has been doing with
everything.
With Glenn and Charlie and
Rob
McHenry.
Have you been watching
Welcome to Wrexham? Welcome to Wrexham?
No.
Oh my god!
I've heard it's great. My mom watches it.
You don't
I
watch
didn't
it?
watch Glenn Howerton in what was his
AP Bio?
I didn't watch that.
It's great.
It's
mind's good.
Blowing.
Same character.
Yeah, I don't like him.
You don't like him in AP Bio either.
I also don't like him as a podcast guy.
Oh, I don't.
He's the worst. And Charlie Day is so approachable and friendly. And Glenn Howerton is just
Glenn Howerton.
He is
Dennis.
Dennis.
That is their
Dennis and Glenn are the same person. Charlie and
They're all the same.
Yeah.
Well, not Mac and Rob.
No,
Not the same.
Rob and Mac are the same, but
Charlie
he's the only one that
lovable Charlie, but smarter.
Way smarter.
And that's relatable.
Yes.
Yes.
Glenn Howerton and Dennis
are the same person. Dead on.
And when you
he
say,
is so
yeah, but Glenn's more but Dennis is more evil. You're like,
no,
really,
Glenn is worse.
Yeah,
he's a weird guy.
Anyway, I'm just really getting you guys off.
He's a weird guy.
The interesting part of that whole situation is Charlie Day took off way early as being way more famous movie star type thing.
But Rob started all of it.
But Rob got in, and Rob and Glenn got more into the production aspect of making these shows, like Mindy Project and some of these other lots of shows that they. Rob's got Mythic Quest. They got dozens of shows under each one of them.
Was he the one with
as writers and producers?
Crazy Pixie Dream Girl.
Yeah, Rob McElhenney has done a lot
New Girl
of stuff.
Yeah. No, I know who you're talking about.
Was he part of that? That's Mindy.
No, Kaling. That's Office.
That's
yeah. Mindy Kaling was
But
part
Mindy
of
Kaling
The Office.
is a huge creator, though. She was at the Mini Project.
Is there some crossover there?
I don't think there is
New
with
Girl. I don't think so.
There is with New Girl, but there's not
New Girl and Off, but nothing with It's Always Sunny.
Mindy Kaling did The Office, New Girl,
and then it's Mindy or
Mindy Project.
The Mindy Project. Sorry,
Yeah.
you said that.
She didn't do New Girl though. She didn't make New Girl.
She didn't make New Girl.
No, absolutely
she
not.
didn't make it, but she was a part of it, right?
I don't think so. New Girl was Liz Merriweather, and she made some other shows that you have heard of.
Wait, didn't you come
Single
here
Parents and
as a fact checker?
Yeah, she made Single Parents, which was actually
What
also
are you doing?
Single Parents
What are you
was a really
doing
good
up there?
show, and The Dropout.
Listen,
and Bless This
if
Mess.
I have to continuously go to Chris for fact checking,
You're right. I'll own it.
why are you here? I want you here.
I think Glenn Howerton was involved with Mindy Kaling in the Mindy Project.
Okay.
Because he's in it.
He's in that.
He's credited as one of the writers, I believe, or creators or something. He's way too rich to be a writer. So might be a creator.
He's very rich.
It's funny that was part of the podcast I was listening to today. Is
They are
their
all
net
very
worth.
rich. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Rob McElhenney is probably
He's huge.
as a creator probably the most successful, I would say.
But he's the worst actor.
I know he's pretty good
I
in Mythic
love
Quest.
him.
Mythic Quest is a good show.
I've heard him talking about it. I've never looked into it.
Oh my gosh.
That's
he's so good.
Amazon or Apple?
It's Apple.
Apple.
Me into is podcasting. You've been at the forefront of our podcast since the beginning. And before that, I don't know that you knew what a podcast was.
Maybe I did, but I never listened to one.
Yeah. So
This
now,
is the only reason that I listened to podcasts.
you mentioned 10 podcasts that you podcasts that you listen
you
to.
want me to
I
go
want to
through
hear
them?
about them. I want to hear if I've heard of them, if I've watched them, the whole thing.
Rogan is one of the first ones that I looked into because there were so many, and I could cherry pick.
I will say right now, we can stop and talk about that for a second.
2 hours and 8 minutes.
It's fine. Everybody knows that I'm a Rogan fan, but he has been nailing it with the guests recently. He's had some phenomenal guests. He had Mark Zuckerberg.
I listened.
That was a good podcast. Yeah, what are you
Aaron
holding
Rodgers.
your hands over there for? Aaron Rodgers.
Because we're over time.
Who cares? Who tells us what to do? We haven't recorded in 2 months, Jerry.
Well, you care what I do.
So if you want to hear my library, that's why they do
All right,
laugh track.
I'm in the
on
middle of
sitcoms.
Tim Dillon right now.
Oh, Tim Dillon's one of the best podcasts. Whether you agree with him or not, and I hope you don't, he's a great guest on a podcast.
Oh, yeah, I like him. Louis C.K. was on there. He hasn't been on there. Protect Our Parks is back. That's always
That's the
great.
fifth one. That's Ari Shaffir and
There's 3 of them. What's the guy? Mark Norman.
And then
Stop fucking around with that.
Shane Gillis,
Shane Gillis,
who's
yes.
awesome.
Nate Bargatze was on it. He's my favorite
Yep.
stand-up right now, working today.
Listen to every time.
It wasn't a great podcast.
A while ago, you told me you didn't like when he had the comedians on. You preferred when he had other people on.
Scientists, yeah, and stuff like that, yes.
And I prefer when he has comedians on.
Well,
because I've gotten really into, not necessarily watching stand-up comedy.
Depends on the comedian, right? So Nate Bargatze is one of my favorites. Louis C.K. is one of my favorites. When he has, Tom Segura.
Who's my favorite comedian of all time.
The best
He's in my
comedian
top
of all time.
5, and he's gaining ground by the day.
I love Tom Segura.
He's the best comedian that we know.
Oh, Tom Segura is so great.
So good.
And there's more. There's
I'm trying to think of
Bert Kreischer.
He's okay.
He's okay. I get annoyed.
Christina P., who's Tom Segura's
She's
wife.
great. She's great.
Yeah.
Theo Vaughn.
In my top
I love it.
2. Maybe with Tom
Andrew
Segura.
Schultz. I'm a huge fan of Andrew Schultz. Yes.
Andrew Schultz, okay, but Andrew Vaughn.
Theo
Vaughn.
So if you want to hear my library,
yes, let's hear it.
It's Always Sunny, Time Suck with Dan Cummings.
I've not heard that one.
Dan Cummings, do you know him?
No.
You would know a couple of his acts, I bet, if you listen to it, or his bits. He's a comedian, and he just dives into a subject and does he reads. I mean, it's basically reading. He does research, and then he does his own commentary while he's reading it. It can be a little dry and hard to focus, but if you really need to kill like 3 or 4 hours, it's great. And then the Honeydew.
The name.
Yeah, right. That's exactly what it is. The Honeydew with Ryan Sickler.
No, I've not listened.
He has the best laugh in comedy. And look up Ryan Sickler. He's great. He does like a origin story on all of his comedian friends. It's almost always comedians. And he'll bring you in and then just interview for an hour to an hour and a half.
I love that. I love origin stories for anybody.
And he's very thoughtful. And he'll ask you, why do you think you're like this? Then when
we started the podcast, I tried to do origin stories.
That's true.
And Jerry shut me down on that.
Bertcast, which is Bert Kreischer.
Yes.
Because he's been doing it for 10 years, and his guests are great. 2 Bears, 1 Cave is probably my favorite.
That's great.
That's Segura and Bert Kreischer.
That's a recent ad for me. I've only listened to like 2 or 3 episodes.
I've listened to every single episode.
Oh, wow.
I went back and just listened to everyone. This past weekend with Theo Vaughn,
This past weekend is...
I love it, but I feel like it's very hit or miss. It is. I don't like all
I
of
have to select
I have to be
weeks.
I have to be in the right place.
For sure.
Because he's exhausting.
It's so exhausting.
He's so funny, and he's so awesome.
It's certain
and
weeks
the reason what makes him
select.
such a great stand-up, he can be with the funniest, most talented stand-ups in the world. And they don't know how to take him.
No,
They don't know when he's screwing with them. And I've never heard him really.
I don't think he's screwing with them.
He doesn't know how to be.
No, it's
off.
He's one of those guys. Yes, he's one of those guys. I guarantee there is a switch.
I agree.
And he just has never shut it
like
off.
the switch that he has.
To him and he clicks with some of those one-liners. And I thought our guards were down. And he goes, I grew up with this guy, and the guys that know him.
As soon as you think the guard
Andrew
is
Schultz
down,
is really good with him. He goes, yeah, and then he says whatever guy.
He starts saying like, "Well, I grew up with."
Yeah, we grew up with this kid.
He was a mental.
No, it could be anything. But the guys that know how to handle him, and there's only been a few.
The mental.
He's the classic guy that you can't survive around without doing yes and he'll say, we grew up with this guy and this, and you just have to keep going.
I can't imagine him with Schultz. I haven't heard them together, but
oh no, they've
Schultz
been together.
is so fast talking, and
that he can.
Theo's so slow.
He can break him. He can break him because he fires back at him.
Yeah,
and then Theo starts to giggle, and he broke him. You can't break him by saying, "I think you're lying," because he'll just keep going. Schultz can break him because Theo says whatever. We grew up with this guy one time. We called him this because he did this. And Andrew Schultz like, oh yeah, we knew this guy, and he'll tell the same story or a similar one, and then Theo goes, and he starts to giggle because it breaks him because he beat him to the punch.
Gotcha.
Now a Rogan guy, sometimes Rogan doesn't get jokes
so much.
No, Rogan. I don't know that Rogan gets Theo Vaughn's jokes. I think he takes them at his word.
He does that a lot to a lot of comedians. He's like, what do you mean by that? And sometimes you hear a comedian go, like, I told a joke. You're supposed to go along with it. Not challenge.
Oh yeah, but
I think he actually has a terrible sense of humor for.
No. Rogan's thing is like, but it's not funny.
No, I don't agree with that.
If
he doesn't believe you should rely on me for you to be funny.
If Rogan gets a person on there who's trying to be funny that's not funny,
he'll challenge him.
It's a fucking vacuum in that room.
Yeah,
and he sucks all the energy, and he goes, What do you mean by that?
I would agree with that, but except for Theo Vaughn, because he did that.
Yeah, he doesn't.
He did that for Theo Vaughn, and Theo keeps driving on the same subject that he was talking about.
But also, Theo's very insecure, and he doesn't ever challenge Joe.
Absolutely,
he doesn't challenge him, but he changes the concept.
But sometimes Theo stays this far above one of his guests. And he just stays, and the guest eventually has to give in, and he knows Joe's not going to give in.
I don't feel that way. I feel like Theo has overtaken Joe on many.
So
jokes.
anyway,
I'm trying to find this episode, but I listened to some Theo Vaughn recently where he interviewed somebody a little more. Oh, he had Joe Rogan and Bobby Lee on recently.
Well, see, he had Joe Rogan on, but it was right after he was on Joe Rogan.
Gotcha.
And what they did is they finished the Rogan podcast.
Okay.
And then they filmed the Theo podcast in the same studio at the same time.
Okay. But he recently
I listened to both of them.
Somebody.
Yeah, he and Bobby Lee are buddies.
Oh, I love watching them together. And
they're both lunatics.
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
All of them are buddies and lunatics.
I love Theo and David Spade because they're like legit best friends.
Yes.
That's amazing.
And David Spade does not ever challenge. They just kind of go back and forth.
Oh, it's just silly back and forth. I love Kyle Dunnigan because he's just as ridiculous.
Yeah.
I can't find the exact episode, but he interviewed a couple people on his show that were like serious people. They weren't comedians.
Yeah, one guy cleaned up like dead bodies and crime scenes.
So we're
2
hours and 17 minutes.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. This was somebody like famous.
Well, this week was Tony Kanaan, who is an open wheel race car driver.
It was somebody that it was just going. He was going.
Jimmy
on.
John.
He
interviewed Jimmy John.
I think
that actually was a great interview.
It was a good. He
asked great questions.
Yeah, and Jimmy had been to his place up in Wisconsin that I used to work at. They talked about it on the show.
Well, then after that podcast aired, Theo came back and was interviewing with somebody, and he was talking about going to the adult summer camp.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
And he was fishing with Emeril Lagasse.
Yeah.
And you don't know if he's telling the truth.
No, he was there. I'm sure because.
But after he said it a couple times, I'm like, oh no, he's telling the truth.
I think he said on Jimmy's podcast, he said he went up to his place in Wisconsin to the camp. That's where I worked because
I knew you and Nick worked there, and how I'm remembering it is he had Jimmy John on. Jimmy John invited him to this thing, and then it was like a month later, he brings another guest on. He's like, "What do you?" I think it was Rogan.
It might have been.
He said, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "Oh, I was at this adult summer camp. Went fishing with Emeril Lagasse." And when a guy like him says it, you go. Yeah,
but I know that Jimmy and Emeril are buddies, and when I worked there, the Papa John's guy would come up. They were buddies, and the guy that owned Famous Dave's, they were all buddies. They'd come up there.
Famous Dave's.
They went broke. Famous Dave's went broke. Jimmy gave him all the money, bought 70% of the shares
of Famous Dave's.
Yeah, and
but now he also isn't in control of Jimmy John's, right?
No, he sold it.
At least part of it, or
no, he sold all of it.
Sold 100%. All of it.
Yeah, sold it. It took his cool several $billion.
Yeah,
walked on down the road. Interesting though. Yeah, when we were there, I don't know. I mean, that was a party place back then. I don't know if they can. There's no way. Listen to the Jimmy on Theo's podcast that he's still partying the way he partied when I worked there. He seemed a little more reserved. Anyway,
Really?
next podcast.
No, we have nothing.
No, he's listening to his podcast.
Oh. We'll go back to it.
Will you stop obsessing about time?
So I had
It's 2 hours and 20 minutes.
So what?
Joey Diaz.
So what if it's 3 hours? What's it 4 hours? Who cares?
We don't do that.
Why does it matter?
Okay.
Rogan does 4-hour podcasts.
All right.
So I did Joey Diaz, and then Beyond the Ring, which is a livestock podcast with
That's not for me.
not for you. And then The Office Ladies, which I watched like 5 episodes and listened to it and I
I've
quit.
seen some TikTok clips of that. It looks pretty good.
It would be great if I was still as obsessed with The Office as I was
Right.
5 or
That's
8
the
years
hard
ago.
part.
I don't.
So
I
I've just
recently
to it.
I've watched and rewatched, and I'm not to the point where with Sunny right now I could go back to the beginning and rewatch it.
So I did a full Office rewatch about 3 years ago.
I probably did it 5 or 6, and I loved it.
It's great.
And then I rolled right into Parks and Rec, and did that.
I
one
didn't
too.
do that,
Yeah.
but I love Parks and Rec. But Parks and Rec never had the gravitas that The Office had emotionally in some aspects. However, I think there's peaks at Parks and Rec that peak higher than The Office did.
The world. I think we've talked about this when we did our top TV shows, and I was texting you back and forth. The Office had an opportunity to build this. No, actually, what The Office did in a smaller world was more powerful than Parks and Rec. Parks and Rec built this huge universe of an entire city instead of this one office building.
Right.
And it just didn't feel as tight and powerful. Like you said, the moments were probably funnier, more powerful. Some of the stuff was just absolutely hysterical. But you didn't have the repeat interactions between similar people, and you didn't build the character depth just wasn't as intense.
I would agree with the character depth, but they nailed it with casting on Parks and Rec.
I love Parks and Rec.
They nailed it with.
Love it.
I mean, they discovered the biggest movie star in the world right now. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And see, in what you would never have Parks and Rec without The Office.
absolutely
And
not.
most people
Correct.
that love Parks and Rec, like you love it too, Jerry.
Absolutely.
And I loved it. The only reason I was there on day one
for sure,
was The
Was
Office.
because of
no doubt.
Because it was complete. This is what we were talking about with the Bear. The Office opened a gateway, and then Parks and Rec just went boom
And a lot
just
of-
exploded through the gateway.
But a lot of other documentaries came out during
There's
that
tons.
time. Yeah.
There's tons.
Well,
It's just
yeah,
the
but
one,
it all
and they're
stemmed off
still
of
coming.
one season.
the one
of
that hit
one
me.
thing.
The one that hit me the hardest was Parks and Rec, and it was the first. So that's what I was saying with the Bear is what is out of the 50 pitches that are going on right now, and the 5 pilots that are being shot.
Yeah, there's going
What
to be
is-
other good stuff.
What's the one that's
Sure.
going to hit us so hard and be this next big thing?
But it all stems off of one show that
and
came
that's
out.
what I'm saying is I
Yeah.
think the Bear could be this for a genre.
The interesting
Correct.
thing about the Bear is, though, I mean, I'm not giving credit to Kitchen Confidential. The Bear is
But you
kind
should.
of like I shouldn't though because it was a failed show that didn't even make a season
18 years ago.
18 years ago. The Bear is kind of the first coming through the gate. The Office wasn't, so it was based on a British show, and it was based
Right.
on a long history of mockumentaries going back to like This Is Spinal Tap, A Mighty Wind, the dog,
you're right
the
about
dog
that.
one. That's
They were just successful at it. Like
Yeah,
they
The
were.
Office
They weren't
was-
movies. It was the first series. Maybe.
No, I know, but like The Office was just successful, like very successful with an American audience.
Yeah, I think those other
At
shows
the
were
time.
too, but they were movies, so it was different.
They weren't shows. They weren't a day-to-day like
Right. You didn't have the time
Thursday
to get
show.
interested in
You did with the British Office, though.
not as
Not-
much character depth as the American Office.
Right. But
Yeah.
but it did I mean, it helped set the table.
It did set the table.
It was a completely different show.
for sure.
It's the only thing that
it all harkens back to Ricky Gervais. He started it all, but he started it based on this is Spinal Tap and
of course,
those things. I mean, that's where it all came from, right? It was
right.
Eugene Levy and fucking Chris,
Right.
what's his name, and all those guys. Anyway, go ahead.
Your Mom's House. That
is Tom and Christina, right?
Yep.
Victor just said Two Bears, One Cave is the best podcast.
I won't disagree with that.
I won't disagree with that.
It's very
either.
clippable.
Oh, I never. Oh,
It's only clippable.
Tom Segura is such a genius, and he found the perfect guy to riff off of. And Bert Kreischer, you don't have to love him, but
I don't.
He's a marketing and comic genius. I'm not saying his jokes are the funniest. I don't like watching his stand up.
No, it's terrible.
But he's such a good self-promoter,
Yeah.
and he's so good at being in on the bit that he sets Tom Segura up for being the funniest guy in podcasting.
He does the same thing with Rogan and everybody. Yeah.
No, everybody.
Tom Segura.
Have you seen the thing where he's drinking Kool-Aid in the morning?
Oh yeah,
my God.
That's maybe
the
my
gallon of.
That is a great bit.
The 1 gallon.
He plays into that so well.
Yes.
To allow Tom Segura to make fun of him.
Did you
and
see
he's
that?
playing into his stereotypes.
I feel like it's
perfect.
written. It's almost written.
I think that's what I'm saying is, especially once you listen to
they
Bert
get
Kreischer.
into the podcast and they're like, Tom is so submissive and redacted from anything Bert is doing.
But that's
and then
why
Bert comes forward and says, I'm doing all of these things.
Bert is the ridiculous one.
Yeah, but that's why they
look at what I'm doing.
See, Your Mom's House was successful, and Bertcast was successful, separate.
Yeah.
And they combined.
They were successful because of one thing.
No, actually, Bertcast, the first episode, Tom Segura said, "You want to start a podcast? Here's Joey Diaz."
Yeah.
And here's Tom Segura, and here's your dad or something. It was like 3 or 4 people in his kitchen or den or something at a holiday. And he said, now you have a podcast. And it was terrible. It makes this, where you're throwing me in because I barged in an hour into your podcast.
This professional sound
the
setup,
most professional.
We have a really good sound system.
It's like they had a laptop sitting out, folded open, and they're all talking over it. But it's hysterical.
They do.
But Tom Segura knew this guy knows everything about himself that Tom thinks is funny.
Yeah.
And they both know it. And they don't script it, but when something comes up naturally in conversation, Bert knows when to go in hard about something that he thinks.
I'll give you the perfect example.
I'll give you that.
Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid's a good one. I get another one that I just watched today. That's why it's fresh in my mind. I don't know how long I don't know when it was on the podcast, but it's Two Bears, One Cave. Setup. All right. Bert comes up with a setup. He asks Tom. He says, "Desert Island, you're shipwrecked there with Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah. How long would it take
Yeah.
So he sets up the scenario and lets Tom go first.
How long would it take until she's attracted to you?
Yep.
And
how long until you try?
Yeah.
Okay. So he sets it up to Tom first. So he sets up the situation. Knows exactly what's going to happen.
Yes.
Tom straight mans the situation in a hilarious way though, and says the whole thing about like, I gotta do this a month in.
You gotta work it. We gotta survive. You gotta, yep.
And then it comes back. What do you think? One day. But the way he says it, he can make it one day, and that's the joke.
Till he's made. No, but the other punchline in that is he goes, Tom, how long do you think it would take till she's attracted to people like us? Long time. And that's it.
Yeah.
And that's like that could be the punchline.
So it's a perfect setup.
Us?
But
I don't.
But the point is,
I feel like that's us.
But
like
Jerry,
you're the Tom and I'm the.
But the point is, they are both professional comedians that do this for a living. They don't have eye trees and Hartford Farms and Army Corps of India, whatever you are.
Yeah, I fake all of it.
Correct. But
that's why I feel like I'm the Bert.
No,
they are
work into
professionals that are also best friends.
Yeah. So they're putting work into that routine.
And they're making millions off of that
understand
podcast and
that.
advertising.
Well, fuck yeah.
Oh, those guys, what they do.
Our entire lives have been based off of this.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't understand where diversity.
We're not as funny.
You're not professional comedians.
Yeah, exactly.
These
guys have 25 years of professional comedian
No,
experience.
the only reason
what
they
the people-
have that is because
and the 25 people that know you best that consume this on the regular aren't other professional comedians.
correct.
So what they've done is they've taken their ability to be funny and to love each other and entertain not only all of the other professional comedians, but also their millions and millions of fans, and then monetize it by advertising and doing this weekly podcast.
The difference is they get to spend their whole days being ridiculous.
No, and we have
For
to
money.
actually have a job.
Yeah. And we get to do it for 2 hours a couple times a month.
Maybe.
And they've also, how long have you been doing this?
Since 2018.
4 years?
2018.
Yeah, 4 years.
4 years.
November of 2018.
They've both been professional comedians for 15 to 20 years.
Yeah.
And got into podcasting after
After they were already had a name.
10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
So they were polished. They were friends. They had a huge following.
I'm just saying the
if you're talking
dynamic
about-
is the same.
I
Between,
would agree with a much tinier, more condensed audience.
Yeah, but I want it to be big like that.
Yeah,
I feel like
right.
Chris is the Tom above me being the Bert.
Vic Rexroad has an interesting comment. Van Wilder is Bert Kreischer's college life story that he sold to Oliver Stone.
That's absolutely true.
That's true.
There was
insane to me.
there was a story of, and Victor, you could help me out.
That's Van Wilder.
It was in the New York Times. There was a newspaper writer that came to Florida State in 1997, where Bert Kreischer was a student, and they wanted to do a story on the #1 party school in the United States of America. And instead, everybody kept directing them towards Bert, who was a 7th-year senior or something like that.
So that started the whole thing.
And he
I thought that was an act.
No,
not an act.
No, he became. It ended up being a story on the top partier, the college partier in the U.S., and it became a feature story on Bert Kreischer, and that
in Rolling Stone
magazine. You're right.
Rolling Stone.
Yeah, Rolling
did
Stone.
that.
And that became how he was kind of discovered. But that story and the life of Bert Kreischer was sold.
So
and it became Van Wilder.
So it was.
That's a great movie too.
Yes, absolutely.
So Van Wilder and him being portrayed in Rolling Stone, and then him doing a comedy tour after that.
Well, he ended up moving to New York.
No, he went to Russia.
No, this is after that. Russia was long after that. He moved to New York, but he ended up getting discovered by Will Smith.
He became the Machine when he went to Russia.
No, actually, Vic said after that he got a contract with the Travel Channel for Bert the Conqueror show.
Bert the Conqueror came after the whole Machine thing.
He was Bert the Conqueror, and he also had a show called Hurt Bert.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And he also had a show called, I forget, it was like a vacation show where he took a couple out.
Yes.
And they screwed with him. But the first thing he did after he was discovered, after he had the story written, is he moved to New York. And then he ended up in Boston. But he was discovered by Will Smith. And all the Hollywood stuff came after he was discovered by Will Smith.
I didn't know anything about Will Smith.
He sold his story to be the Van Wilder thing.
Speaking of Will Smith,
I knew that.
Before he was a stand-up.
No,
because if
I
he
knew
was
that.
a successful stand-up, he wouldn't have sold.
But I thought
he sold the rights to his life story.
But the rights of his life story is what set up Bert the Machine, and that's why he is a comedian with no shirt on.
Let's just say Vic said the Machine is what exploded his comedy career.
Yeah, that
into the stratosphere when a classmate commented that the story is 100% true.
And he
And
consistently.
And one of his other comedic, it might have been Rogan.
In all of his
Somebody heard him tell this story like in the green room and said,
well, Rogan has commented before that
you should
he
tell
heard
that
him
every
you should
time
tell
he-
that on stage.
He was already a stand-up comedian, but he never told that story on stage.
And he said, you should tell that on stage. And he went on stage and told it. And now he tells it every
single
stage.
time.
And I don't know that I've ever actually heard it all the way through.
It's funny.
It is funny.
The Machine. So speaking of Will Smith, did you hear the news recently? Jerry, it doesn't matter.
When are we going to end this?
It doesn't matter.
2
Whenever we're
hours and
done.
35 minutes.
When we're done.
No, there has to be a portion where it's Patreon and when it's us.
Why?
Because we've always done that.
What
Well,
rule?
Pam Kruger Seedentop is now watching, so you guys better continue.
Yeah, what rule are you basing this off of?
We've always had a rule.
We are the master of our own domains, Jerry.
I'm the master of this domain, Christopher.
Master of puppets.
And I can stop this recording whenever.
Okay.
I need to pee.
Will Smith. Well, you can wait a second. Will Smith.
Okay.
Story we're talking about right now. Chris Rock and
I don't like Will Smith.
nobody likes Will Smith.
Well, why do you bring him up?
Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle recently on tour together finally talked about the Will Smith situation. Did you say to Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock?
Yeah, it seems sickening.
What are you talking about?
Will Smith. I don't like him.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Dave Chappelle and
It's
Chris Rock.
all divisive of Will Smith. Go ahead.
They talked about it.
Okay. And?
I thought it was interesting. Basically, Chris Rock came out and said, like, basically called him out, called him a bitch. Dave Chappelle came out and be like, listen, this is how he grew up in West Philadelphia, born and raised. Like, this is how he came up. The last 30 years have just been fake. He's like, and Dave Chappelle said, I'm glad he peeled back his real face. I hope we can see more of that. I thought that was a really interesting comment to make. I think Dave Chappelle is one of like the smartest, not just one of the best comedians. I just think his take on everything is generally always about perfect.
No, Dave Chappelle, I would agree with that.
I
agree that Dave Chappelle is on the platform of being real. Like, he's so done with being fake, Hollywood, this guy that you need to look at. I completely agree with it. Dave Chappelle came out after his like hiatus where everybody thought he would like disappear to Africa or wherever he went. He's like, no, listen, like, I just didn't want the Hollywood bullshit. And he said that. Like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
And he's continued that platform since then. And he's built a really great like following since then. And I agree with everything he says. So if he's saying like, you know, Will Smith is on the same platform as me.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't want to agree with what's going on. Also, I agree with like, he could have done it differently.
Could have done what?
Like, don't get up on a Hollywood platform and slap a guy.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean,
don't do that. Like, do it on a different platform.
All right, here's the deal.
Like, if you're going to support a guy,
Victor's telling us we're going off the rails. Let's take it to Patreon.
support a guy a little different way.
Take it to Patreon?
I guess.
Let's take it to Patreon. Here's the deal. Next week, we didn't get to a lot of stuff. We're going to be talking about reviewing Thor: Love and Thunder,
Oh, boy.
Lock and Key,
Sandman.
Rings of Power, House of the Dragon, or House of Dragon.
House of Dragons.
What's it called? House of Dragon, The Orville.
Yeah.
One of the things is not like the other. We're going to review all of that shit next week on this show, Thursday night or Friday night. One of those two nights.
Thursday.
Thursday, probably. And we are going to dig deep into the huge controversies, 2 controversies in general, Sandman and Amazon's Lord of the Rings reboot, which has the most views of any show in the history of mankind, apparently.
That was the
Did
wrong.
you hit that?
That was the wrong thing.
I don't think we agree about the show. But we're going to take the rest of this episode to Patreon. If you are interested in watching this show, go to patreon.com/snarftalk. You can subscribe. Listen, it's free this year. We've already told you that.
Yeah.
The whole year.
All of it.
It's free. You can sign up. You have to pledge money for the first month. You have to pledge money for the first month, and then I am suspending all payments for the rest of the year. Why is that, Jerry? Because we've been painfully slow at updating it.
Right. And
so,
you're fired.
Vic says, boo, I'm poor. Well, I'm just telling you that it's free. So.
Right. Well, then.
You're fired.
You're fired. All right. First Snarf Talk this week. I've been Chris.
I am Jerry.
And I'm not here.
See ya.